Okay, how's it going, y'all? Friday night. Hope everybody is doing well. Yeah, what up? Back to the lab. Yeah, I'm just looking at. I don't know what's going to happen first. Uh, the Pistons winning or the Lions winning. Man, the Pistons need Cade Cunningham in the worst way. What are we now? 0-5 right now. If the Lions win before the Pistons do, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be beside myself. Like whatever. Yo, shout out to my guy. Back to the lab. Uh we did a commemoration of the 25th anniversary of Iron Man uh a couple days ago. We did it in two parts. And if you're not up on Back to the Lab, yo, subscribe to his channel. He got some great content. What up, Savion B Pot? Yeah. So what is everybody doing this weekend? I'm looking forward to the Drake card tomorrow. You know, I'm not even disappointed that Mook and Briz isn't battling. You know, I feel like they should have battled a long time ago. You know, back when the melee occurred during Double Impact. They should have did it while it was still fresh. You know, not immediately, but maybe a year after it happened. You know, to settle the score once and for all. Um, but I'm looking forward to uh, Geechee Gotti versus Loaded Lux. That's that battle is going to be the best card. Yo, what up, Royce? How do I add? God damn, how do you do this shit? Damn, how do I add Royce? Yo, what up, Royce?
What up, my G?
Yo, man, this means so much to me, man. You're my favorite. You're my favorite rapper ever.
Yeah.
Especially being from here, like just seeing you, you know, from the open mic showcase to where you are now. Like I got all of the mixtapes you ever did. You know,
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for all your support, man. I
yeah,
definitely appreciate it.
yeah. Like the last time I saw you was at the Allegory record release party,
No, it
and there
wasn't.
was a.
No, it wasn't.
Hmm?
I
It
saw you.
wasn't.
I saw you at my launch for my my foundation.
Oh yeah, at Hard Plaza.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't going to miss it for the world, man. Like I think it was like pretty chilly, and uh, it was like a handful of us. You know, we braved the cold, and it was great just seeing everybody, speak, about providing mental health in the greater Detroit area because I know a lot of people that really need it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and especially growing up in my family. Uh, my dad was an alcoholic, so and he had a lithium imbalance, so I saw a lot of episodes, growing up, and you learn how to put it in the back burner and just and love him anyway, and just know that it's it's the uh it's the disease, not him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And it take a long time to come to that realization. You know what I mean? Because it hasn't been taught to the people that's around the person. Because, everybody's a victim around the addict. Everybody that has to deal with the addict is they're victims too. You know what I mean? There's people who go and seek therapy as relatives. You know what I mean? Like as wives and shit like that. Like they need therapy too. You know what I mean? Like, because it's basically just figuring out a way to talk through it, not suppress your feelings, as you say. You know what I mean? And then like once you can have a better understanding of what's happening, it's easier to kind of deal with. I mean, it's not going to be easy to deal with, but it's going to be easier than not knowing anything and just assuming that this is how you were meant to be. You're normal. This is just normal behavior for somebody. You know what I mean? And you wonder why you can't control certain urges, or you don't know how to help yourself. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I definitely, when I launched it, I'm not even just only focused on addiction. You know what I mean? Like I'm focused on doing anything that we can to help in a bunch of different ways. Anything in the communities where help is needed. You know what I mean? Because one of us can't do everything. We all got to kind of do our parts. So I really appreciated you just showing up. You know what I mean? Because there was a lot of like news outlets and shit that I invited that didn't show up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These are the same news outlets that as soon as somebody gets shot in the head or something happened at the bar last night, they're the first ones there, front and center. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Ready to give all the juicy details about all the shit going on in the Black community that's bad. You know what I mean? But it's like
Yeah.
when you get invited to hear about something where somebody is attempting to do something good, especially the way rappers are portrayed and my reputation in the city, my previous reputation in the city. Yo, man, if I always got judged based off of things that I did in the past, I've never had an opportunity to grow. You know, like I'm still struggling trying to get my driver's license.
Wow.
Because I can't. It's not a scenario, a situation that I find myself in where I'm not being treated like exactly what it says on my record, exactly what's in front of the judge. Alcoholic, fuck up. You know. So
Yeah.
the last time I got in front of a hearing officer, I was 4 years sober, and I said I was 4 years sober. She said, prove it. I said that I was on tour. She said, prove it.
Wow. It's like
But
constantly needling you.
when I went to jail, when I went to jail for drinking and driving, I didn't have to prove I was a rapper. The judge was like, 1 year in jail. One of you just died. The other one I just locked up, just let out. Now you. You know what I mean? He knew all about me. He knew all about me. I was a rapper then. But as soon as I'm trying to get my license, and I say I was just going, I was on the Prime tour. I was just on tour. Prove it. Now all of a sudden you have no idea who the fuck I am. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's like black men are naturally criminalized and seen as threats. Because in any situation, like you can kind of sense that certain people see you not as a human being or as a black man, but just the dude that you should clutch your pearls and clutch your valuables. That's something that no other man of any race has to deal with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just in our nature as humans to prejudge. I think everybody is prejudiced to a degree. You know what I mean? So it's like knowing these things. First of all, the way that judges and hearing officers and all of these kinds of people who have to get voted in, the way that they're presented to us, you would think that you should hold them to the standard of not prejudging. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I'm in the position now where I'm attempting to do the right thing and I'm not being allowed to do the right thing because my record continues to follow me around, then my way to reconcile that is to not have a record. Like that's my advice to my son is going to be not to get into the system at all. You know what I mean? Because it's not like we're going to change people. You can't change people. It just is what it is. It is what it is. It's all like motive driven shit. You know what I mean? So I think it's just educating the kids on everything so they're aware of everything, so they know how to move around. You peep how they're trying to pull critical race theory out of the curriculum altogether.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like, who is that helpful for? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how is my son and daughter, how does that put them in a better position to just like completely pretend like something never happened? There's no other part of history that has ever been in question this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I get it, man. It's a lot of parents going, my kids shouldn't have to be made to feel guilty for something that our ancestors did way back in the day that we didn't do. And listen, I empathize to a degree, but it's not my fucking fault either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, your child feeling guilty, like if that's what ends up happening, then I got to attribute that to the way that you're parenting that child, because your child doesn't have to feel guilty. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like your child feeling anything from finding out how horrible Black people were treated in America all these years, I think it would be a great thing if they felt something, and it'd be your job as a parent to make sure that it's not guilt. But to completely shelter people from information, that there's never been a time in the history of this country that has ever shown to be a good idea. You know what I mean? And I don't understand that. It's like you're not attempting to stop teaching the children about the Holocaust. That was just as horrific. And we don't even have to live amongst Nazis. Like Black people got to live amongst white people. Black people and white people got to live together daily. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that doesn't even make sense. Why always slavery? They like, yo, it's causing too much division. What division? When the fuck have anybody ever been worried about division? Now all of a sudden, everybody's so concerned about division. Division is not the worst problem that we can have, because division is just what it is. I didn't make a division, like the whole concept of thinking that we got to teach the kids to be like colorblind. Okay, well, if that's the case, then when I apply for a job, don't ask me what color I am. Mm-hmm. Why does it matter then? You know what I mean? Don't tell me why does color always matter to you? Listen, it matters to me because it matters. I'm not making it about race. It's just about race. Everything is about race.
And even in day-to-day existence, it affects how much you can borrow at a bank. It affects how your how much the quality of your medical treatment when you go to a healthcare institution, or where you go to get education. All of those is predicated on race and where you live. So critical race theory, whether it's acknowledged or not, it plays a part in all of our day-to-day interactions.
It's just, I don't even look at it. I feel like they come up with these titles. They figure out something to call it so they can like trivialize the fuck out of it and make it seem like it's something that was created by like imperialists or like Marxists and all of this shit. I don't even know what a Marxist is. You know what I mean? Like critical
Yeah.
race theory, it's just American history, bro. That's it. That's all it
Hmm.
is. So if you're not suggesting that we do away with teaching American history altogether, then how could you single out just slavery? Like that's so harmful to teach. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
one guy in the comments told me, we got to stop dwelling on the past. Dwelling? Dwelling? Okay. You look at it like dwelling on the past.
I don't think there's anybody that dwells on the past more than MAGA people, because when Trump uh, ran on his campaign, MAGA was an old uh, racist troop during the early part of the 20th century, like around like you've seen Birth of a Nation, the old racist film. That's the people that are Aryan nations and KKK. They love bringing up the past because they feel like they're being made to feel inferior, or something is being taken away from them. So I feel like there's nobody that dwell in the past than white bigots.
I mean, but when have we ever been in a position to take anything away from anybody?
Exactly.
That's not even a thing. You know what I mean? Like we're not in a position to do that. Like I can feel a way toward somebody. I can even go as far as to discriminate against them because of their race or whatever. But my feelings toward them is not going to change any opportunities for them. It's not going to change their way of life. You know what I mean? It's like, who cares how anybody feels about anybody? I'm not like, people misconstrue when black people protest and shit like that. They misconstrue the way we're being treated by people with what racism is. Like racism isn't the way that each individual police officer feels about a black person. It has nothing to do with that. It's the system that the police officer, who is a public servant, somebody who's being paid off of taxpayers' dollars, whose job is to protect and serve, being put in a position to where they can decide in the heat of the moment whether you live or die. And it just so happens that at a disparaging rate, they choose to kill black people more than any other race. It has nothing to do with making mistakes and shit like that. It's just a thing that needs to be rectified. You know what I mean? And more time gets spent defending it than anything. There's no way that the police should be referred to as blue, like they're their own fucking color or some shit. Not a fucking race. Like a police officer is not a race. There shouldn't be a police code that could be to the detriment of the citizens. It should never be that. You know what I mean? Like, shit is crazy. I know that ain't what you brought me on here to talk about. I was
No.
What's up though? How you feeling?
Oh, I'm doing well. I don't mind talking about this because I was like, I did an episode on my podcast about Malice Green, and how it affected me even when I was younger, because a lot of the guys that I knew looked like Malice Green. Like they were guys that were my mentors. Some of them, taught me, life skills, survival skills, carpentry, how to work on cars or do home improvement stuff, things that that a young man would need to know just for life, and just to see, Malice Green, even back then, just be criminalized and treated like a dog. It just it colored the way that I saw police, and colored the way that I saw the world. So to me, it resonated with me for a very long time. And what you're talking about is right up my alley. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I mean, same here. Same here. That shit was heartbreaking, but it was like, you know, it was Malice Green, it was Rodney King, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. You know what I mean? And no matter how outraged the people become and how much rioting and all of that, it's like we never see the results that we're looking for. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's fucked up times, man. Fucked up times.
yeah. But on a brighter note, man, like I want to talk about your, just the early, like before you even got on per se. Like I'm really curious about the open mic days, uh, cause I was listening to it's on YouTube, but you were part of uh, a cipher with Craig G and Wordsworth back in the day, and I was like, yo, the way you was rhyming, it kind of sounded like you was having like a battle within a cipher, and I thought like just hearing you uh even back then, I just wanted to know how did you get so good at sounding so clear and having battle rhymes that was so uh vicious.
I think it was people like Craig G. Shit. You know what I mean? Like I remember what you're talking about because I was there with Marshall, right?
Um, this I don't know if he was there because like it's like 12 minutes, and it was the people
Oh,
that
so
rhyme
did
was
you
Craig.
heard you heard audio, but you didn't see the video of it?
No, it was
Okay.
it was
Yeah.
audio. It was Craig G,
Yeah.
you, Wordsworth, and Mr. Complex.
Yeah, Marshall was there. We were that was back then where we would go like there were a whole bunch of radio stations. It was like college radio, it was like Stretch and Bobito, especially all over New York. It was just a whole bunch of places to go rap.
Mm.
And Paul used to take us to all those places. So when we would get to these places, because Marshall did all those battles, he did what was the battle where he lost that one to Juice?
Was
Uh, it
it
wasn't
the
the
Scribble
Scribble Jam.
Jam?
Was it the Scribble Jam?
Rap Olympic?
Rap Olympic.
Uh, Rap
Okay, yeah.
Olympics.
So he did like Rap Olympics, and he did all of these different battles, and he was traveling, you know, pretty early. You know what I mean? So all of those guys that were at that station we were rapping at, they already knew him. You know what I mean? So they heard of me because Marshall was speaking so highly of me. Like, okay, y'all think I'm dope, but y'all got to hear my man. So it's like everywhere that I used to go, man, you know, I think we about to just start rapping, and next thing you know, I'm being tested by everybody, especially Craig G. Craig G was like, he was testing me. He was testing me. He was testing me to see what I had. You know what I mean? And the
Yeah,
Outsiders did the same thing. It was just like every competitive lyricist you can think of did that. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think in order just to survive, you had to be able to keep stepping it up. You know what I'm saying? Because it was just like, I was like, fuck, man. You know, he could freestyle, so he ain't, I was spitting all written raps. You know what I'm saying? He could freestyle, so he can just go forever. You know what I'm saying? And it was like everything he said, they reacted to. He just great. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you running around and you got guys like that testing you, you have no choice but to either hold or fold. And the first time that I went to the hip hop shop is the first time that I rapped on a mic around a bunch of people that I didn't know, and I got gonged. I got gonged at the hip hop shop. I wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying? So once I built up my confidence and I started traveling and stuff like that, all those little situations I was just kind of prepared for. And I wasn't prepared to win. I was just prepared to not get killed. I didn't win. I didn't win against Craig G. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't get murdered. You know what I mean? So it was like leaving up out of there, it was love and respect. It was already love and respect from me to him, but I had to earn his. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So I think that's where it kind of came from.
And how did you form Wall Street? Because that was the first time I heard Billy Nix and June and everybody else. Like I remember listening to The Desert and just listening to it on repeat. Like wow, like these dudes are are just an ill set of cats that can rhyme. Uh, on your next to your level. Like how did you form Wall Street?
We all went to high school together except Billy Nix. Billy Nix was a little bit older. I met Billy Nix at the Ebony Showcase.
Wow.
And when I heard him rap, I basically invited him to be in our crew because he's that nice. You know what I mean? So Trey Little, Cutthroat, Bo Cutthroat, Ja. Me and Ja was like best friends in high school. You know what I mean? Like we gave each other the names 5. We called each other 5'9", and that's how where the 5'9" came from. We was both the only two people on the roster on the basketball team that was 5'9". So we started calling each other 5'9". And then Cha, I met Cha after I was signed already. She had a deal with this company called Noontime. And she had this song on the what's the movie with Martin where Martin stole the diamond? Lawrence stole the diamond, and she was on the sound.
Does that blue in the title?
Huh?
Does that blue in the title?
Yep. You got it. That's what I'm talking about.
Blue Streak.
Boom. She was on that soundtrack, and she had a dope song on that soundtrack that it was picking up steam. So when I got the opportunity to meet her, I had already heard about her already. So since she was from Detroit, I asked her to be in the crew too. You know what I mean? Like that was back when all the crews had a girl.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So we were just kind of following suit, trying to form something like that, and I hadn't heard I hadn't heard a girl from Detroit who could rap like that. Obviously I was a big fan of Boss and Miss Corona and, like all of the Killers, Diffusion, all of those girls. I was fans of all of them. But Child was just different to me. You know what I mean? So when I heard her, I just asked her to be in the crew. And she said, yeah. So we just started making music.
Was there like a plan like to make a crew album at some point? Like what similar to what similar to what Nelly did with the Saint Lunatics, or what M did with D12. Like, was there plans like to make a album out of with Wall Street?
I'm sure it was at some point. I'm sure we had conversations like that at some point. You know what I mean? Like it never materialized enough for us to be able to determine what we wanted to do and how we wanted to scale it. You know what I mean? So it's tough to be in a group with somebody and one of the people in the group is the only person who has a deal. So a lot of the success of the group, the future success of the group is contingent upon one of the people in the group making sound decisions. It was just tough, so, and we were young, all of us were young. So it just kind of fell apart,
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of pressure because you've seen it throughout history, like Ice Cube with the lynch mob, or Nas with the Bravehearts. Like whenever you have like the the head of a crew, and you got and you got your
crew members,
cohorts, the members. That's I'm sure that's a lot of pressure, to make good decisions for your career, then to have to worry about everybody else, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was tough. I probably could have handled it a little bit better if I was a little bit more mature, but just kind of is what it is, man. You know, that's life. And that's definitely this business. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna come in, you're gonna make mistakes. People gonna, it's just like with Slaughterhouse, you know, like we all started off all like-minded. Like we all had the same motives and agendas. You know, as it grows, things change. People change. You know what I mean? And if everything, the foundation of everything was based upon people being like-minded individuals, then, you know, the second that we don't all look at this the same way is the beginning of the end. You know, it's hard enough to get people on the same page. That's why groups and stuff, especially groups that get formed like after the fact, you know, like the murderers, the four horsemen, all of that. That's why it's so difficult to do. You rarely see it to fruition, especially when it's a lot of money involved. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to collaborate with somebody and it be a long, solid working relationship. And it's even more of a blessing to be friends, to remain friends. Like my relationship with DJ Premier is a blessing. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't have to be that. You know what I mean? Like he don't have to be so cool. Like the fact that he's so cool and I like him so much it's a blessing. Because nobody has to like him. He's still gonna be DJ Premier.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a blessing to be able to have that long of a working relationship with somebody and enjoy every minute of being around him. And can say he's a friend, music or no music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But how does it feel like to have a distinction of creating three groups with, you know, with different dynamics, you know, with Slaughterhouse and Prime and Bad Meets Evil, you know, that's not many people can say that they're in a group with three other ill lyricists of the same caliber as you, being in a group with arguably the best producer of all time and the, you know, arguably the greatest of all time. Like, you know, how do you feel about being in that class?
I feel great about it for different reasons though. You know what I mean? Like the fact that I got the opportunity to collaborate on that level in close quarters like that with such great people first. That's an honor and a blessing. And then to be able to collaborate that close in proximity to great creators. That's a whole nother reason to be proud of it. And then to be a part of building it all the way to where it got, starting from the first brick, that's the most fulfilling. That's the most rewarding part of it. Because that's the part that doesn't get talked about. You know what I mean? That's the part. That's the part that not, it's the most important part, but it's also the part that people look at. And the first thing they do is give all the glory and the grace to whatever the company is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, that's the part for me. That's the part for me, being able to build something, and especially when people are counting you out. You know what I mean? Like when you look at Slaughterhouse, it was 4 people who, to industry standards and to people who you see at labels and stuff like that, the first thing they'll say is, oh, them guys been around the block already. The game is young. We're looking for younger artists. And that's true. We have been around the block and the game was looking for younger artists. They said you had to have an album out in order to do festivals. That was true from what we had seen until we were doing festivals. I mean, we did Rock the Bells. We only had 4 freestyles. You know what I mean? And then when we finally signed the deal with Shady, we had just got the #1 independent hip hop album in the country. You know what I mean? So at that time, we were the biggest group in the world. So I look at that, and I'm proud of that. You know what I mean? And I'm not tripping on how it went on a major. I'm more so looking at it in retrospect and kind of like learning from the mistakes that I made, and also keeping in mind everything that I learned from building each individual brand. Because building Prime with DJ Premier is a totally different process, totally different thing. You know what I mean? From the music all the way to the infrastructure. The way we sold merchandise is different, everything. Our relationship with each other is different. The dynamic is different. The conversations are different. And then there's some similarities. And then when you look at Marshall, first of all, it's rewarding just to be back working that close in proximity with my friend who I hadn't spoke to in so long. That's rewarding, because, you know, we showed that we know how to fall out with each other. We showed that early. We showed early that we know how to fall out with each other and not be friends no more. When I say us, I mean just us rappers in general. You know what I mean? So every now and then there's that story where it's like, you know, they fell out, but now, you know, they came back together, and now they're doing great things together. They're doing positive things together. And, you know, like when it's that kind of story in the end, it makes it all worth it. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
Bad Meets Evil, it wasn't anything really to build. I think all of the building happened back then. You know what I mean? Like when we did like the Scary Movies vinyl and all that, that's when we actually built it. You know what I mean? But coming back together and seeing it through and being able to do the Slaughterhouse album too, it was just kind of a win-win. You know what I mean? So there's a lot to be proud of.
yeah, like I would like my favorite. I think what made Slaughterhouse so ill to me is each member's dynamic was different from the other. Like Joel and Joe Budden, ultra competitive, and I think when you had I'm the Shit TV, I used to follow that because that was the first time I saw Joel and Joe get into that foot race.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was at that hotel in Southfield. I just thought just seeing, you know, these guys, you know, just bullshit and just, you know, they can, you know, like even just in a foot race, you know, they can argue about everything and you know, I kind of compare, I kind of compare like Slaughterhouse to the 18, where Crook is like B.A. Baracus, like he used to. You know, he's the dude that's going to kick ass. You know, he's the most, you know, feared, you know, member out of the crew, and you know, Joel's Spaceman, and Joe is Murdoch, and you're Hannibal. Like, 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 just different dynamics that made the group just, you know, one of the illest groups I've ever seen. Like, am I off base with that?
You can't be off base with the way you perceive something.
Yeah.
Because you're not telling me to be right. You're just telling me how you view it. You know what I mean? So I mean, shit. We just appreciate being viewed. You know what I mean? Because it's a blessing, man. You know, like it's easy to take for granted, but man, we living in times now where everybody's like, oh man, people's attention spans are shorter now. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. I think people hyper focus just on the things that they like. And I think if people don't like something, they don't pay attention to it. And they don't have to like anything. People don't have to subscribe to any marketing or anything like that. People don't have to go listen to the radio to determine what they like and what they want to listen to. You can basically, because of social media, be the program director of your entire existence. You know, so you can build yourself a ecosystem where all you do is just indulge in the things that you enjoy. You know what I mean? So if you're blessed enough to be a part of somebody's ecosystem, that's an accomplishment within itself. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be worried. I'm not worried about somebody being off base. I'm worried about somebody not paying attention. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Is there is there uh, any plans, for Slaughterhouse to make another album? Like if Joe isn't up to doing it, like doing it as a trio with you, Joel, and Crook.
Well, okay, so that's a multi-part question.
Okay.
Now, the second part of it, doing it as just a 3-man group, that'll never happen. I'm not doing that. And the reason I say that is because, like, me having a firm understanding of what Slaughterhouse is, and like really being right there in the mix when we took L's and when we created W's, you know what I mean? And reading a whole lot of comments, a whole lot of engagement with fans, meet and greets and shit like that. I came to a conclusion that the reason why it worked whenever it did work was, number one, when we were all on the same page. And then number two, it was because of the 4 people that it was. You know what I mean? Like, it's like if you take away Joe, then you're taking away a part of it. But it's not just Joe, it's all of us. You know what I mean? Like, I got to look at the way I felt on stage, the times I had to perform without a member, and I've done shows without each of them. And they all feel the same. It's not just because of Joe. Like, when Joel's grandmother died, we did a show without him. Crook had a death in the family, we did a show without him. We did a bunch of shows without Joe. You know what I'm saying? So, and all of them just felt like they were missing something. You know, and I can't help but to think if I had to go in the studio and record again with them and somebody wasn't there, we would probably spend a lot of time talking about that person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, naturally, we probably would. The conversation would just shift that way because it would be something missing. And if it's something missing from a narrative and vibes perspective, then automatically that's the way you're going to receive it, because that's what we'll be giving you unconsciously. You know what I'm saying? So, and another thing about that is the timing of it. If it was earlier on in the process, maybe I'll feel different. But if we were ever to do another album, it would definitely be the last one. And I wouldn't want to go out like that. You know what I'm saying? So if we're going to do it, we're going to do it with all the bells and whistles, or we do nothing. We do great or we do nothing. You know what I mean? And it's best that way. It's best that way. But I'm definitely open to it. I'm definitely open to discussing it. But it just had to be done the right way, you know? So it's going to take all 4 of us to agree on how to do it from a business standpoint. Creatively, it is never a problem. As long as you can put 4 of us in a room, we have no problem. If they fly here right now, we'll probably do some of the best music we ever did. You know what I mean? So that the music is the only time the music was a problem was the album that came out on Shady. That was the only time the music was a problem.
Yeah.
Any other time it was just you know, it was just rock and roll, just clockwork. You know what I'm saying?
And also, how did you get so good at harmonizing? You know, like one of my the song "What I Know" from Death Is Certain, like the way you harmonized the chorus, it sounded so dope. Like did you take singing lessons or did you just do that on your own?
No, I didn't take singing lessons. I mean, it just came. I just kind of learned how to do it from a whole bunch of bad singing. You know what I mean? Like if you work at it for long enough, you know, or if you do enough takes, you'll catch one. You'll catch one. And for me, what I used to do early on is I would try to come as close to the note as I could, and then we would just fix the note. Now I can just do it. You know what I mean? But it's been so many years of trying. You know what I mean? So I think anything you do where you put a lot of effort, a lot of practice and shit into it, and don't get all frustrated at not being great immediately, I think eventually it turns into something.
Is that how?
You don't that's one thing about singing, man. You don't have to be great at singing.
Mm.
I mean, like, you don't have to be great at singing. Everybody's not a vocalist. The only people who got to be great at singing is the people who are great at singing, because they already set a bar. So there's certain people you won't accept nothing but greatness in terms of being a vocalist. And other people you don't look to for greatness vocally. You look for whatever else it is about that person that made you a fan and made you connect with them. And you look for them to do those things great. And as long as you can do those things great, then you're great. You know?
Yeah.
Every great vocalist is not great. Like, just because you go win, you got the big voice on American Idol, don't mean that you're about to be a superstar. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It will be as far as like producing, like are you are you do you plan on like branching out into other genres as a producer?
Into other genres?
Yeah, like you started uh like when you produced the allegory uh and you produced some beats for music to be murdered by, like did you do you have any plans to branch out, in like R&B or something?
Um, I don't know. I don't know about that. I never thought about that. You know what I mean? When you said other genres, you scared me.
Oh, no, 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 no.
You scared me because
I,
it's like,
I should have been more
I
specific.
was sitting there thinking to myself, like, why the fuck would I want to do that? But I mean, I enjoy producing. I like I like challenging myself. You know what I mean? But I've never, and I say this respectfully, I never think about other genres of music unless I'm using other genres of music as a case study to prove some type of point. You know what I mean? But to me, it's nothing greater. It's nothing greater than than culture, our culture, hip hop culture. It's nothing
Agreed.
bigger. It's nothing bigger to me. You know what I mean? So I mean, I'm not one of those people who feel like um, trying to like mix genres together and figure out different ways to make two things work, one genre and another genre, and kind of like fusing them together to make something that would be perceived bigger than each respective genre. I honestly don't think that's a thing. You know, like I can't think of many times that that's worked. But the flip side to that is every other genre seems to be able to use hip hop and do things that are deemed as successful. Like, you know, Taylor Swift can put 2 Chainz on a record and the record would be just fine. 2 Chainz try to put Taylor Swift on his record and the record is almost career suicide. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't really feel like, I don't feel like hip hop should be treated as a genre the same way as the other genres are treated as genres. You know what I mean? Like all of those different facets of music are based on like very academic fundamental things like music theory, you know, like chord progression, you know, live instrumentation. Hip hop is taking somebody else's record and figuring out a way to take pieces of it and create our own thing. So like the greatest producers in hip hop that you can think of, very few of them know how to read, write music or know music theory. But when they bring musicians in, the musician knows theory like the back of their hand, but the musician could never, is very rarely a great producer because they haven't mastered the art of minimizing things. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you base everything off music theory, then that just means you know the right way to do it. So if you hear something and you can't determine whether you feel it or not, but you're going off what's the right thing to do is, then that's not really hip hop. You know?
Yeah.
Like if Preem chops up a sample, none of that is in a particular key.
Yeah.
Except the music that he's sampling, that's in a particular key. But the way that he's doing it is not anything that you can correlate to theory. You know what I mean? So if you look at it like that, and then you look at the respective demographics of people that these different genres target, hip hop is not targeted at anybody. Hip hop is just hip hop. Like Illmatic is just Illmatic. It's not like, you don't look at Illmatic and say, oh, look at all of the hit records that's on Illmatic. Illmatic it just exists. It's made to be omnipresent. You know what I mean? Like pop music is made to suit what's happening now, or young women, young girls and boys that are at a impressionable age. You know, the age where it's fanfare, where you're hanging up posters and you're doing a whole lot of screaming. And then, you know, when that artist, those kids kind of outgrow that artist, and they kind of replace that artist with the new artist to appeal to the next batch of kids. So it's not really made for longevity. It's just made for a big boom, and then it goes away. Jay-Z's never going away. Never. That's not even a thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, Nas is never going away. Illmatic is never going away. The Chronic will never go away. You know what I mean? Britney Spears, you would never hear her name. You have to go search for her. But there was a point in time where you couldn't escape her. To me, that's the difference. You know what I mean? So marketing is a motherfucker, because it'll have you thinking, you know, urban radio is the Chitlin circuit, and then pop radio is like the top of the top of where you can go. And that's when you really, really made it. You know what I mean? But really all that is just a bunch of casual fanfare, casual fans. And casual fans show up to the show for many reasons. If I'm a casual fan of something, if I'm a casual fan of boxing and I only go to big Floyd Mayweather boxing matches, it doesn't make me a fan of Floyd Mayweather. It just means I just didn't want to miss some shit. You know what I mean? Like, you think everybody at a Jake Paul fight is a Jake Paul fan?
No, they want to be in the mix with other celebrities or take photo ops.
That's where everybody gonna be at.
Yeah.
Casual fanfare. That's what pop music creates. You know, like the big stages, you know, like Coachella and those big stages like that. It's great. It's a big shiny stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tech Nine would never have to perform on one of those stages. If he can perform on that stage, it'll just be the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. How do I know you got I know RG Payne, he previewed not previewed, but he posted he made an IG post about an upcoming Posse track with you, RJ Payne, Rod Digger, Corey Guns, and Pat Poose. Mm-hmm. Like, how did that come together?
He just asked me to do it. He just said he had something he wanted me to spit on. I said, okay, send it to me. When I got it, I only had Papooses' verse. And I laid my verse and sent it back to him. I didn't even know who else was gonna be on the song. You know what I mean? But you know, Payne that's been my man for a minute. You know, we long overdue. We tried to do some things a couple of times. Like, he came here a couple of times and we had to beat up. We was writing some stuff. We didn't get a chance to lay it because he had to go. And this was the first opportunity we had to do something with each other. So that's pretty much that. If you want to know like how the whole song came together, or what thought process went into figuring out who was going to be on the song, you would have to ask Payne.
Okay.
But he sees a vision. You know what I mean? To me, it's honor. It's honor. You know what I mean?
Because when you I remember when Greed came out with Ransom, and there were some people that was complaining about how long your verse was. Like I never once complained about that or even thought it was something to. I never thought it was a negative. Like what was your thoughts about people saying that Ransom pretty much let you do what Cannabis did to Redman and A+ on Beast from the East, right? I just thought that was weird.
I mean, I ain't think none of it. Mm-hmm. I probably would have thought some of it if Ransom would have had a problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, Ransom, he asked me to do the song. I did the song. If I had any sort of like inkling if I seen any indication that he, you know, felt any type of way about the verse being too long, then we just would have shortened it. You know, that's part of it's just a part of the process, you know. And I can't really, I don't know how my verse ended up long. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, you know, he sent me what he did, and I was just inspired by it, and I just rapped for however much left of the beat it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I did, you know what I mean? And it just so happens that my verse ended up being longer than his. I don't think my verse was that much longer than his, but
Yeah, no, because I listened to Free Letterman, and I remember when he and Watson was arguing back and forth about your verse being longer, and I just couldn't understand why it was such a source of contention. You know what I mean?
I think three just wanted because he, you know, Ransom was on the toe tagging spree. He still is. So I think three just wanted him to have Ransom to just have like a fair shot in his mind to have the best verse. You know what I mean? Which is understandable. That's one of the fun parts of listening to shit as a fan. You know what I'm saying? It's just it doesn't always translate that way during the process of creating it. You know what I'm saying? Like me and Rand, we're not looking at it like that. We're not looking at it like who's gonna have the best verse. Sometimes, which is why it was fun doing shit with Slaughterhouse. Sometimes we used to do that in the studio. You know, we used to be like, "Yo, I'm about to have the best verse," and it used to be fun to see who what the people thought, reading the comments. You know what I mean? Like that was one of the fun. That was one of the things that was fun for us. You know, because you never know who people are gonna say. You know what I mean? So I mean, and then it's the same. It's the same like with me and Rand. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of people I've seen on my timeline who felt like his verse was better. You know what I mean? So I seen some people saying my verse was better. You know, three said my verse was long. You
And
know what
I
I
think
mean?
that's the beauty. That's the beauty of of top tier MCs collaborating with each other. Is you get to compare rhymes and voice and cadence and
It's fun,
content.
man. It's fun. It's fun.
Because when I listen, like same thing with Father Figure with Black Thought and Toby and Wigway. Like I wasn't really up on Toby and Wigway, but once I started listening to his freestyles on Sway uh, and what he did when he rhymed with Mos Def and
Mm-hmm.
Pharoah Monch and Black Thought, I was like, wow, this dude should be. This dude is just special. Like whatever makes somebody, whatever the it factor is, he has it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like
I
how
agree.
did, yeah.
I agree. I think. I mean, I think Toby's special. You know, I'm well documented in saying that. Well documented in saying that, and it's always to me. It's always the motherfucker that's like Toby. You know what I mean? Like the person that's not the camouflage. You know, like he's never had a moment where he took a step that indicated that he was trying to blend in or be the camouflage. You know, like he was always super comfortable with going a completely different direction from anybody else. You know, and I'm talking about everything from the approach to the music to you know, like the greatest thing about him, I think, is that at a young age and at the very beginning of people starting to recognize who he is, he was already comfortable in his skin. And what I mean by saying that is like when I first got into the game and when most of us first get into the game, we're not so we're not so eager to show you our family or to show you that we're happily in a relationship or show you our children. You know what I mean? Like we normally go this direction. I went this direction as Royce to 5'9", and I went this direction as Ryan Montgomery. You know what I'm saying? So when I used to get home, I'm Ryan Montgomery when I'm at home, but when I'm out there, I'm Royce the 5'9". I'm not Royce the 5'9" in here. And it's like, that's no good. You just gotta be one way, man. You know what I mean? So it takes a lot of confidence, and it takes for a man to be comfortable enough in his skin. And in order to get to that place, to arrive at that place, you gotta really, really be okay with some people not liking it.
Yeah.
No. And we're not programmed to think that way. We're not programmed to be okay with people not liking things. We programmed to think really, really short-sighted, and to think that there's a such thing as a piece of art that's relatable to all, or a person that's relatable to all. You know what I mean?
It's impossible.
So the bigger artists become, the more you see labels trying to frame that artist to you as perfect. You know, somebody who doesn't make mistakes. You know what I mean? Somebody who does everything perfect. Like if you just follow people, you know, based off of the way that they're presented to you, then you would think some of these people aren't even human beings. And I think that's what causes that level of fanfare that can become dangerous to the artist and the fan and the person, you know, who's influenced by it. You know what I'm saying? It's like placing people up on pedestals because of a talent that they have, as you know, as above being a human being.
And being
Going
that
both ways though, rather it be you feeling entitled to, you know, everything that is them and crossing their boundaries, or you just forgiving them for things that they shouldn't be forgiven for. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So,
And I like that Toby is self-contained, um, like Fats, you know, produces all of his music in like the monochromatic colors of his videos. You know, that's to me just him understanding what he wants to do and not compromising is something that makes him special. Not a lot of people do that, so I definitely like what he brings to the table. Um, are you going to are you up on the Drake card tomorrow till Death Do Us Part?
that's tomorrow. Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, like who do you what uh you know battles are you looking forward to seeing?
I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing all of them. I'm glad you told me, because I probably wouldn't have been tuning in unless I would have seen it on my timeline. Who is it again? Is that the card that Mook was on and then he got pulled off of?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Geechee Gotti versus Loaded Lux.
Mm,
Um,
that's a good
T
one.
Rex T Rex versus Rum Nitty. Sue Surf versus Calico. Um, those are the three main ones that I'm following.
Sue Surf versus Calico?
Yeah,
Mm, that's an interesting one right there. That's really interesting. They might be two of the
try,
that might be two of the
like
scariest
like
motherfuckers out there.
I may be biased, but I'm going with Calico because Calico beat Sue Surf at UW, and I just believe Calico is going to he's going to do it again,
I hope so.
and I'm not sleeping on Sue Surf because uh, Sue Surf his last battle it just he reminded people why he's one of a ghosts and I think people once he became the battle rap Shannon Sharp, a lot of people he kind of gave people enough time to doubt him
Why
or
you say he became Shannon Sharp?
oh because like Sue Surf he became a commentator for on caffeine like he was uh giving his analysis on different battles. He because his last battle up to that point was against um, 40 bars, and then that's when he stepped away from battle rap, and that's why a lot of people thought that he was retired, but he stepped on stage and just beasted.
I don't think battling is something that you can do just continuous over and over and over and over and over and just expect to just win. You know what I mean? Because it's so subjective. There's so many different styles, so many different kinds of audiences. I think that's a good thing to step away from. If you can make music, I think it's a good thing to step away from and go back and forth, come back to. I don't think it's good to just overstay your welcome. Because eventually somebody's going to come through and tear your ass up. You know what I mean? It's just the nature of it.
Yeah. You know, I think DNA has had the best career as far as battling consistently. I don't think he's ever I know he battles a lot, but I don't think he's ever lost, to the point where I felt like, man, he needs a break or something. Like maybe he needs to recalibrate.
Yeah, DNA is a dog. He is a dog. I fuck with DNA. I like Geechee too, man. I like the fact that the Lux. I feel like Lux is pushing itself by taking.
Me too.
Because that's a dangerous one.
I think it's great style clashes. It's basically, the street nigga versus the cerebral cat that's a wizard with words, and I like it for Geechee because I think he's already Mount Rushmore. Like anything he does after this is just a bonus in what he's been doing, as far as with every fucking bar, and just him expanding his crew with, Ab joining every fucking bar. I like that he's, starting to, assemble a group of killers.
Who you think? What established rapper you think can go over onto that side and do well against somebody on that side?
Believe it or not, I like Chino XL because Chino XL, like his entire rhyme style is that of a battle rapper.
Has he ever battled anybody before, like on camera that you seen?
I
wonder why not.
Unless it's like on a smaller league, but I've never seen Chino XL battle. But just remembering his, freestyles on Sway and Tech and just his own albums, I can see him like going into RBE or URL and just with 3 months of preparation, just tearing some dude a new one.
Yep, I agree. Chino a monster. That's a good choice.
What did you see? Votto versus Saigon.
I did.
It kind of gave me Fragile Star versus Keith Murray vibes. I didn't really care for that. I think MC Wars. I just think MC Warzone. I just think that environment with the boxing ring and referees and rhyming over a beat. I think there's too much going on at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Fragile Star and Keith Murray. Like take away the boxing ring and the referees and just have
microphones.
Them. Yeah, like
How do you feel about the microphones?
I would prefer not the handheld microphones, like
Right.
just have like a mic clipped to their shirts
Mm-hmm.
and do it that way because you can't hear them when they're moving the microphone around their mouths and the audio drops.
How'd you feel about the performances?
I felt Votto, uh, he definitely impressed me. Like he did better than I thought he would. Um, Saigon too, but I just don't I'm just already seeing Votto kind of gassed, saying he wants to, he wants smoke with other battle rappers, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
pump the brakes a little bit. I think certain industry rappers, I think they would thrive better on Verbal War Zone because you're still rhyming on beats, but there's less uh, theatrics around it.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much mano a mano.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Is it any new rappers you think can get in there?
mm, to be even as nice as some people I held in high regard, I just think there's some there has to be some uh there has to be more than just getting into that arena and thinking that you're going to thrive. You know what I mean? Like with Chino Excel, at least I've seen him in certain environments where he looks like he could you could throw him in the jungle and he'll come out alive.
Mm-hmm.
Like some cats, you put them in that environment, they may be gasping for air, you know.
Yeah, it ain't for everybody.
Did you still have thoughts about entering battle rap? Because I know you was flirting with it for a while.
Nah, I changed my mind. I changed my mind, man. I may
Just
be open to it. I may be open to it at a different time. You know what I mean? Like I caught what I felt was a little bit of a hankering for it. I had some conversations with it with like um URL, um what's my man name? ARP.
hmm
Talked to a few dudes. I had some good conversations. You know what I mean? Like I had like kind of a not a game plan, but I had a way that I wanted to do it if I was gonna do it. You know what I mean? And it was kind of wishful thinking. You know what I mean? And then just like going through the shit that I went through with Lupe, and then the way that battle rappers were behaving in that space and the way that some of the fans were behaving in that space, it was just like, I can't do it, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I can't do it, bro. You know what I mean? I think those guys, and this is just my opinion, you know what I mean? Because I don't do what they do. I don't come from what they come from. You know what I'm saying? Like we both share a common bond, which is we both love what they do. You know what I'm saying? I think that they need to establish some boundaries between them and the fans. You know what I mean?
mm,
Because anybody who does anything that seems to be directed at that audience, what I felt like I was getting was just rap, nigga. Just rap on cue, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
and it's just like you can't possibly think that you're gonna have any sort of the success that you're looking for if you are made to feel and you subscribe to being a employee of the people.
mm,
Unless you are an employee of the people, like if you
yeah,
If you feel like your job as an artist is to make exactly the kind of music that the people want, and you are good at doing that, then more power to you. But some artists can't do that. You know what I mean? It's like rapping on cue. It's like anytime somebody snap their finger or they just want to be entertained for the moment. If you choose to be that guy, then cool, you can be that guy. You know what I mean? But to me, I feel like it's impossible to be successful or do anything well without peace of mind. I don't do things well when I'm upset. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't do things well when I feel like I've been dragged into something that feels counterproductive. And I'm always looking at things that we've done in the past, mistakes that we've done in the past. I look at the different ways in which we're being taken advantage of as far as doing deals and really everything that's wrong with the culture. And one common denominator that I can always find, that one equalizer is always solidarity. You know what I mean? Like we show so many different ways that we can fuck shit up. Like we showed all the different ways that we can fall out with each other. You know what I mean? And be made to look like we are dysfunctional. When really that's not the case at all. You know what I mean? Like if boxers acted like that, if boxers acted like they couldn't coexist because in their mind they're gladiators and they just had to fight just at the drop of a dime, all of them would be half brain dead. You know what I mean? They'll be half brain dead by the time they're done with their careers and people will just move on. You know what I mean? And in most cases, that's kind of how it was in like the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. And, you know, a lot of those guys died broke because they felt like they worked for the fans. So like taking care of business and standing for something wasn't necessarily a thing unless you're somebody like Muhammad Ali, you know, who automatically put himself in a different space because he was the guy who had the balls to turn down some shit. And that's why he goes down in history a little bit different than anybody else. Same with Kyrie Irving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can't just have your price. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything can't be bought. You know what I mean? So it's like, these guys act like the way that they look in front of the fans means everything. And there's no way to please motherfuckers like that. If you need to do something and it's to another artist's detriment because you feel that we all being competitive with each other, and it's an easy thing to misunderstand because you got the charts, you know, with battle rappers, you got the stage where people are facing off. But to me, that's the only place that they're being competitive. Outside of them facing off with each other, they're not on opposite teams. If everybody was if everybody came together, if all artists came together and just agreed to have a unified front and we came together just to demand things, then we would be in a much better place. Like, what do you think labels do? Like when somebody takes Universal to court to get fair splits from streaming, what do you think happens when they send out a press release? It's a joint press release from all of the labels. The labels come together all the time to go against artists. That's what streaming is. Labels coming together and coming to an agreement what artists are going to be paid. And then when they make that agreement, they tell us, okay, artists, this is what y'all going to get. And the only reason why it's accepted as a thing is because we say yes to
it. Just like the same thing with sports, like with collective bargaining, like you see the owners, you know, they will always, they'll consult with each other, about certain clauses that they want in contracts. And that's why you always see like certain athletes always getting, criticized, for taking certain stands. And you got the other players,
it. And that's my choice. That's my choice. You know, when you take a stance and it's against a conglomerate, then you will be publicly reprimanded, not privately. You know what I mean? And a lot of it is because professional sports and all of that shit is one of those things that are being made to appear to you like it's marketable to all. So automatically, if they're marketing to all kinds of people and they don't want to offend anybody, that's not something that they want being done on their platform. Shit like protesting and shit like that. People want to watch football. They don't want to see that shit. They call that shit politics. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, little Randy in Idaho don't want to see Cap kneeling. You know what I mean? Like, take a stance somewhere else. Don't do that here. You know what I mean? But it's like, yo, if it's relatable to all, then find somebody in Idaho to be great at playing football. Why do all the great people come from the ghetto? If all the greats come from the ghetto that's going to play and entertain everybody, then why don't they have that kind of leverage? I think that's ridiculous. And I think the only reason why it's like that is because it's accepted. You know, like we get made to feel like, do you really think that like LeBron and Kyrie, you think like the players need the NBA? You think that?
No, because their talent, their business connections, they have enough already to create their own league, their own platform.
Yeah. But it's never been done before.
It's like the fear of the unknown. You know, it's the fear of creating something new and it not working out. But it goes back to lack of solidarity, like you said.
Yeah, but the whole time, you got to remember, these guys dedicated their whole lives. As kids, they've been getting prepped as kids, you know, to play sports on the highest level possible. So by the time they're on the field or on the court, most of them are going to be complicit to whatever is going to gain them more income. They come from being poor, now they're rich. It doesn't mean they're getting paid fairly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're making a lot of money in contrast to what they come from, but are they making a lot of money in contrast to what they're generating?
No.
Do you think NBA players are allowed to audit the books?
No.
So how do we know if they're being paid fairly?
That's a good question. They aren't. And
Well, I'll tell you what. All it would take, it don't even take all the players. All it takes is certain players.
Mm-hmm.
I can name about 10 of them right now. If they all decided we're not playing unless we get this, you'll have it tomorrow. Because there is no game without viewership, and there's no viewership without the star players. So what they'll do is they'll give the star players some favor. But you know, like Stephen A. Smith going on a public platform and going on a rant about Kyrie and talking about how nobody's gonna want you in a couple years and all that. Are you out of your fucking mind, nigga? What are you talking about? You talking about Kyrie Irving, my nigga. They will pay that man to play and one ball if he wanted to. Like, people aren't fans of the NBA, they fans of players, teams. You know what I mean? Everybody's like, yo, he let his team down. Well, shit. Just like you saying he could have stood with his team, his team could have stood with him too. It's a two-way street. And his team hasn't said how they feel about it. So why is everybody else so up in arms about it? And where's all this fucking passion from Stephen A. Smith when things are happening right in front of your eyes? Like niggas getting beheaded by the police. Where's all the fucking compassion and loud yelling in? Like, it's all right to feel a way about it. You can't tell somebody how to feel, but goddamn, why so publicly loud? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I saw the same thing, and I feel like Stephen A's. I feel like Stephen A. feel like his career is tied to these players. Like, when Kyrie doesn't play, it affects his bottom line. I'm like,
go on a rant. Go on a rant about the mandate then.
Mm-hmm.
You want to see Kyrie play that bad, then go on a rant about the mandate, because mandating somebody to take a vaccine is not the only way to keep people safe. You can test them every game. Why can't you do that? Why have we not heard about another option besides the mandate? Like what? I don't understand that. Yeah. And if it's like, if you're going to create a mandate and leave it up to the players to make a decision, how the fuck you going to get mad at them if they decide they don't want to take it? You gave them a choice. You didn't give them options. It's not like he's using his platform to tell people not to get vaccinated. He didn't even say he didn't even say he was anti-vax.
Yeah, he's always said that it was his personal choice, and he just left it at that.
Yeah, because they gave him a choice.
I feel like
he chose not to play. So how the fuck is he letting his team down? His team is letting the team down.
And I feel like now he's ostracized, and the NBA is making an example out of him. Like, this is what happens when you don't kowtow to public pressure and corporate rules. You know.
Yeah, but what happened though? Who's losing?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Who's losing? Because as far as I see, all the complaining is about Kyrie not playing. So who the fuck is losing?
The NBA.
Kyrie not losing a ring by not playing. If he played and lost the game, then he'd be losing the ring. He's not losing the ring if he's not in the game. So how bad do you want the fucking ring? Because I want all the players to be safe too. That's not what this is about. Because if that's what this was about, if this was about anything other than trying to control people on a huge platform in front of everybody, then, you know, they will find alternate ways to make this work. There's plenty of other ways this can work other than telling somebody what they better do.
Yeah.
And telling somebody, you're not important enough. You're not important enough for us to make adjustments for you. Everybody, that's the first thing people jump to when they talk about Cap. Oh, if he was a better player, then he would be playing. All right, cool. Whatever. Convince people that he's not a good player. Whatever, man.
Yeah, it's basically it's like
people get mad when you're not all up in arms about their money. Oh my God, he turned down $200 million. He can't afford to do that. So far, he's the only person who hasn't said he can't afford to do that. Everybody but the person who knows whether he can afford it or not has said that. Like, if he stands for something, obviously he's totally aware that he's the one who has to pay for it. And if he can afford it, why the fuck should you care? Because that's not what this is about. That's why I hate all of that shit, man. But it's like, I understand it. I just wish more players understood it.
Yeah, that's I thought when Donald Sterling, once he was booted out of the NBA, that, you know, players was going to wield their power and, you know, boycott and make and demand changes, you know, all around. But as soon as the playoffs began, they stood at, they did the national anthem thing, and they went on business as usual.
They were doing it. They was doing it in the beginning when LeBron said he wasn't playing. Hold on a second. Yeah, they were doing it. They were doing it when LeBron said he wasn't playing. And you see what they did. Barack Obama had to talk to him. Barack Obama.
The irony.
I mean, listen. That tells you that they were getting results. They brought in the big guns. And Barack Obama talked them into it. As soon as he talked them into it, everything went back to how it was. And they went back to playing.
And like the powers that be, they got a plan L, K. They got plans for every situation, and it just seems like the players can't even agree to one alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine it's a tough decision. It's a tough decision to make, man. It's a tough situation to be in. You know, you don't want to let the people down. You don't want to let your teammates down. You know, it's other teammates who maybe can't afford to hold out for as long as others. You know what I mean? So I get it. I get it. But I mean, that's kind of like our weakness. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's kind of our weakness. It's the same thing in the music business, in the record industry. You know, like certain black people are sitting in certain high up seats based on how comfortable somebody is with them sitting in that seat. So they try to handpick people to sit in those seats that are the closest thing to being complicit with everything that's happening as possible. So look at Kamala Harris. You know what I mean? Like, what's the use of cheering and celebrating the first black lady becoming vice president if she ain't even in the position to say America is a racist country? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If she can't do that, then her being there does nothing.
It's useless.
Yeah, it's just like,
Yeah.
because her getting voted in there, that's the people talking. So that tells you right there how the people feel. The people are more progressive than ever. So it's not cool to be racist, to behave racist, but that's not what our problem is, because her not being able to speak the truth in that seat is the system talking. So that tells you that that's what needs to change. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well,
When was the last
absolutely.
time you seen the left and the right agree on something? The one
Never.
time you see that
Yeah.
happening is Tim Scott and Kamala both agreeing that America is not a racist country. That's fucking crazy. That's crazy. You know how confused I would be if I was a white person that was on the fence? I'm like, but it's black people saying it. So maybe, maybe we are getting better. Maybe we are seeing some results. We are not.
Yeah, it's all. I feel like it's all ceremonial. Like once the presidential election was over and the fanfare was over, it went back to business as usual, like upholding institutional racism and just spewing political rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
You got any plans for doing like Bar Exam 5? Cause I'm still listening to Bar Exam 4.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, buddy. That's difficult to do, man. I got to be in the right mood.
To rhyme over others' beats.
Mm, not necessarily to rhyme over other people's beats, but just to be competitively rapping, because that's basically what Bar Exam is about. So I got to just be in a certain mood to feel like rapping like that for like a whole project. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it just depends on what's going on. Right now, I don't think it's a good time for it. You know what I mean? So I'm so distracted, you know. Sometimes when I write shit, I can have it in my mind that I'm gonna write going in a certain direction, and then I end up just talking about something that's just on my heart. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
You ever heard the story about Marvin Gaye and the What's Going On album?
Uh.
Barry Gordy and some of the other executives from Motown begged him not to do that album when they heard it. They wanted him to go back to just traditional R&B, just go back to making love songs. The world doesn't want to hear this from you right now. But everything that was going on in the world is what inspired it, you know? And that it came
Yeah.
out and it was his most successful album. You know what I mean? So I don't think I think the artist that's out there right now, and like artists in the past that have had that gift to be able to make music where it seems like it's almost like they're pretending like the world is just in a great place. You know what I mean? Like it's like if you listen to their music, you'll swear that everybody's just at this party right now. Everybody's fucking getting along with each other, and the world is just kumbaya, and it is not. It is not. You know what I mean? So
I think that's, like I think that's what has made Dave Chappelle so important, is that he says something that has made people take a stance one way or the other about the things that he was talking about. Like, I feel like, to me, I feel like what he did with his comedy special is what Two Live Crew did, back in the day, and it made, politicians have congressional hearings made about.
People don't like hard truths, man. People don't like the unapologetic truth, man. It just makes them feel uncomfortable. So when you look at entertainment, man, they want to feel good about what you're doing, rather that's you telling the truth or not. You know what I mean? So It's like, whatever you're talking about, if it's your truth, it better make me feel good, or else I have a problem with it. And that's with everything, because that's basically what Kyrie said. He said, with everything that's going on in the world, it's hard for me to focus on basketball knowing that all of these things are going on and there's something that I could do about it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being friends with somebody and they see your child get murdered by the police and they say, I feel for you, but I'm not in it? You know what I mean? You think to yourself, like, I don't want to be fucking friends with you anymore. Like, I don't care what color you are. If I see the police murder your child, I have a problem with that. Not from afar either. You know what I mean? So it's just like, everybody's like whipping out their cameras every time it's some sort of disaster. You know what I mean? Until it affects them. And then those who are parts of groups who can find a way to come together in some sort of solidarity and speak on it and come across with a clear and concise message and make a demand, it'll get fixed. We Black people, we can't do that. And that's why everybody's problems get fixed but ours.
Absolutely.
If I played in the NFL, if I played for any corporation, there's no fucking way I'll still be playing right now. You can't tell me that the NFL, one of the biggest corporations in the fucking world, that halftime show gets more viewership than probably anything on TV. You can't tell me that they can't use that as leverage to make changes. Facebook, the community of Facebook is so big, it can sway the way that the election goes. That's how many people are in the community of Facebook. Facebook can fix a lot of shit. So
yeah, and even with the NFL, like if you look at the end zone, every stadium has the end racism, logo, but it's all, it's all ceremonial. It's kind of like smoke and mirrors. They want to give the impression that they're progressive, but their actions are anything but progressive. That's why you have so many lawsuits, with the towards the NFL, because it seems like every week they're getting lawsuits, from everything from discrimination to sexual harassment. Like, this is the best. I think like this is the best time to take, these kind of institutions to task. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's only one way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's only one way to do it, man. I mean, this community, it doesn't seem to be important until, they're at risk of losing our viewership. and us patronizing whatever the company is, you know, our dollar. When they at risk of losing that, or they come anywhere near close to being at risk of losing that, then we get pandered to. But, you know, it's just they play into the confusion that is black people, because we're there's so many different black people that feel so many different ways based off of whatever's self-serving to them, you know? And there's never been a time where we felt like we had each other to land on. So the first thing we're gonna think of is our own families, our own journey, our own agenda. That's how you get black police officers to stick to like a blue code. You know what I mean? What in the fuck, what am I gonna speak up and say something for and defend somebody who's being painted as a thug in the street when I got a job to do? I don't like it, but I'm not about to step up and say nothing, and I'm not going to be ostracized by my imaginary brotherhood that is the police department. You know what I mean? And that's crazy. Yeah. That's crazy that, you know, that's how a black police officer can be made to feel, but white police officers aren't made to feel like that. So why aren't, put it like this, all police officers aren't bad, right? So if you're a white police officer and you're not publicly condemning it, then you're bad too. I don't get to get on a major platform and support Minister Farrakhan without being made to publicly condemn him. Why do all the successful black people have to publicly condemn Minister Farrakhan, but the good police don't have to publicly condemn the bad ones? What's the difference? Other than the fact one is a threat to our safety and the other is not.
Yeah.
You know what
and
I'm
you
saying?
see, yeah. And you know, and you see Tom Brady, you know, hobnobbing with, you know, Trump and he's, you know, nobody bats an eye.
Who cares, man?
Yeah.
We so past that point. We so past the point of who's hobnobbing with who's how this person feels, what this person says, what that person says. Who fucking cares, man? You can call me a nigga all day. If you call me one in my face, I'm gonna beat your ass. And if I found out that you said it, as long as you're not saying it on the backs of black culture to capitalize in some sort of way, I don't have nothing to say about it, because I don't care. I don't care how you feel about me. I'm not protesting for you to treat me better. I don't fucking need you to treat me like anything. I need for my community to receive the same thing that you expect when you're taking money from our community. I want my community to be just as important when it comes time to spend money with my community as we were when you were collecting from my community. If I go and I pay my cable bill every month, you happily take that shit. So if you take that shit, then why does it not add up when it comes to how many black-owned networks there are and how many black people are sitting on those boards that are in control of all of the programming that you see on TV? That's another conglomerate. And that's what Byron Allen was suing for. And if the numbers didn't indicate that there was discrimination, then he wouldn't even had a case. So the fact that he's even able to sue them for discrimination tells you everything you need to know. That's a problem. And then McDonald's. How many black people do you know who didn't fucking grow up on McDonald's?
Not one person. Like, everybody I knew ate McDonald's. Yeah. Do you have any plans of doing your own podcast?
I'm thinking about it. I mean, I'm building something right now. That's why I've been like redoing my studio and doing stuff up here. I'm building a TV show, but it's taking me some time to do it. But it's gonna have a podcast element to it, and it's gonna be dope, man. It's gonna be the first of its kind. But you know, it's my first time venturing off into that realm. That's not necessarily my wheelhouse. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to like stomp over into it, assuming that I would know how to do everything. You know what I mean? So I'm just taking my time and kind of learning. And I'm doing with that what I did not do with music. I ran into music young and blind. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I learned all of my most valuable lessons off of making the biggest mistakes you can think of. I don't think that I should have to do the same thing in the content space, because now I got people in the content space who's doing very well in the content space that I can always call and ask questions. So I just do that. You know, so we figuring it out. But I don't see the purpose of doing a podcast if I don't feel like it's going to be as great as Joe's podcast. What would I do it for? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just putting three chairs and the table in front of a wall and just talking. There's enough people doing that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah. I see. I see that you're. Who's the mayor of Oak Park? I forgot her name.
Crystal Bailey, she not the mayor, she running.
Oh yeah. Uh, talk. Talk to me. I'm not really familiar with Cynthia Bailey. Like, what made you pro your support to her?
Well, we just met. My brother Troy Muhammad. He's a minister for the Nation of Islam. So he introduced me to her because he knew that I went to Oak Park. You know what I mean? And she also went to Oak Park. She's younger than me though. So this is the first time a black woman has ran, and the first time somebody this young has ran. So when she came, he brought her up to my studio, introduced me to her, and she told me about like just some of the pushback that she was getting just for running. Like for an example, in Oak Park, we got like a centralized location that is a park called Shepherd Park, and we also have a community center. So she couldn't get access to the park or the community center to do any of her events for her campaign. So she had to find like interesting ways to do her campaign. Basically, she's been put in positions to where she doesn't necessarily have a fair shot at winning unless she gets help from people that she knows that can either use their influence and just support her in any way. You know what I mean? And as soon as I heard that, I didn't need to hear nothing else. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just riding with her. I'm riding with her. I mean, obviously I needed to hear, you know, what she stood for. And what I gathered is that she's not necessarily a politician. She's more of a humanitarian, you know, and I don't see a scenario where that ever could be a bad thing. You know what I mean? So I'm helping her out.
Is going more into like not necessarily politics, but speaking out more on broader issues. Is that something that you want to do more going into the future?
I mean, I'll speak about anything. I'll speak about
I mean,
anything I feel passionately about. And it, you know, it won't be because that was the plan. You know, it'll be because I'm put in a situation where I'm either asked how I feel about something and I'm being honest, or I feel like it's on my heart to say it and it needs to be said. You know what I mean? Like I'll never do anything like that and put like a title to it. You know,
got you.
like I don't want to be viewed as like an activist, or I don't want a title. I don't want to be proclaimed as anything, because that has like an agenda driven connotation to it. I feel like when you call somebody an activist, you basically telling the people that this is this person's job to speak to you really, really loud. You know?
Yeah,
And I don't really like, I'm not speaking out about anything to be known for that. You know, like if I do anything, it's because my central purpose is just to try to help out and be the change that I want to see. You know what I mean? Because sitting around and talking about the problem, not only is that like never got us anywhere, but it just causes more confusion. You know?
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like you gotta lead by example. And I'm not about to be out here speaking on things that I don't know about, you know, or that I don't have an honest feeling about just for the sake of saying that I'm an activist or for the sake of getting booked for events. You know what I mean? Like, that's not my calling. Is just to do what feels right. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. My calling is not to, you know, anoint myself as anything. You know what I mean? Like, my calling is just to do what feels right and do the right thing. You know what I mean? I feel like anybody who's blessed enough to have a platform where you speak into masses of people, I just feel like along with that comes some level of responsibility. Some level of responsibility. Maybe not as much accountability as the people try to put on rappers, but definitely some responsibility. You know, like I feel like I'm responsible, just like Jay-Z was responsible. You know, when he was telling you that he was a drug dealer, he was also responsible for telling you why he's not a drug dealer anymore. And he was responsible for evolving before your eyes and showing you that you can be that, and now you can be this. Like, a lot of his success for who he is was a responsibility to the people, whether you agree with some of the moves that he makes or not. Same with Barack Obama. You know what I mean? You can demand that he does things for black people all you want to. But I just think it's counterproductive to overlook how valuable it was to have a black family in that office, a black family that looks black and acts black, and that has all of the qualities and characteristics. It's all of the greatest people that have been placed before the little kids' eyes in the past. Highly intellectual, sophisticated, all of those things. And they act black, they talk black. And they had rappers in the White House. And they had sense. You know what I'm saying? I think little Randy from Idaho, who may have had a preconceived notion about black people just off of the sheer nature of watching television, I think that was a good thing for him or her to see. I think it affected them whether you know it or not. You know? So, I mean, other than that, expecting a black person, with black people being the smallest part of the population in America, expecting a black person to be able to sit in the highest seat that is politics and fix all of our problems, that's just wishful thinking. I don't think a black person should ever run for president again. Because having like Tim Scott as our president, that's counterproductive. That doesn't help us at all. That hurts us. Because he's going to convince a whole bunch of people that America does nothing wrong and that everybody's tripping and we need to stop.
Yeah.
He said, what did he say? Not cancel culture. He said, black supremacy culture is worse than white supremacy. Ain't that what he said?
What that mean? Black supremacy culture.
Ain't that what he said?
No, I'm just trying to make sense of black supremacy culture. Like, that doesn't even make any sense, you know. But, you know, people like Tim Scott, you know, they never make sense. You know, same thing. Like, to me, that reminds me of who's the actor from
Terry Crews.
Yeah, Terry Crews. Like, it's like he said, black supremacy is worse than white supremacy or something to that effect.
Mm-hmm. It's the same sentiment. It's the same sentiment as what I just said Tim Scott said.
Yeah.
Be careful. You don't want it to turn into black supremacy. Oh, man, that's funny. That is funny. Jeez, man.
Any
I hope he gets like a leading role in like the biggest blockbuster movie ever in life after that bullshit.
man, just imagine what the acceptance speech
It's
is going
got
to
to be
be
some
like.
kind of end game. It got to be an end game to it.
It's like the end game in his mind is totally different from what would really happen. If they even did happen, I would just want to see the acceptance speech. Like
If what
that,
did happen?
if like Terry in that scenario, Terry Crews won and gave some acceptance speech, like it would just be filled with all kinds of fuckery.
It'd be like Hubert Davis.
Yeah, the UNC coach, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, it's cool that I'm the first black man to do this and all that, but listen, let's not forget about white people now. I got a white wife. My kids are half white. I'm just saying. It's like, you know what I mean?
Like just giving that disclaimer is like, it's like, shooting on your own goal. It's like you didn't have to do that. Yeah.
There you go.
Any 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 plans for a new studio album?
I've been working on this and working on that. You know what I mean? The good thing about it is I'm recording now more than I was, because it was a long period of time that I went without doing any recording. You know, so
Yeah.
I've been doing like little features and stuff like that, but I've been working on some stuff. I'm a little closer to having something like a direction. As soon as I got like a direction, then I can officially know that I'm working on an album. But until that hits me, I just don't want to be just recording, just for the sake of recording, because I found that having just a whole bunch of random songs just laying around,
Mm-hmm.
recording songs, and then when I finally figure out what I want to do for an album, now I got this problem of trying to narrow it down to as small as I can, and I've never been able to do that. Every album has been like, yeah, but the album is kind of long though. And I'll be thinking to myself, man, you don't know how long it could have been.
I've never complained about an album's running time. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
why wouldn't you want more music?
I can imagine, I can understand why people want shorter albums. And I want my next project to be short. I don't really like long albums either. It just depends. The only long album that I really, really love is Life After Death.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get it.
Like the running time, like when you say short, like the running time of like Prime One
50
was
minutes.
like, yeah.
50 minutes. 50 minutes, I think is good. Anything over an hour, that's a little long.
Like if you are you thinking about like doing a Prime 3? Because with so many ill MCs, like I just imagine who would be on it.
Who would you say should be on it if I did it?
Elzai, Payne, Pharoah Monch. I would love to hear Kid Vicious on the Preem beat.
Mm-hmm.
Those immediately come to mind.
Shit, that's a great fucking lineup. Shit, that sounds like the Killers album. Yeah, me and Preem been talking about it. We've been talking about it. We've been going back and forth with ideas, just kind of brainstorming. One of the if I was to look for any sort of silver lining to the pandemic, at least we kind of feel like, when I say we, I mean me and Preem, we kind of feel like we got some time. You know what I mean? Like we got time to just take our time. because
Yeah,
I don't like feeling up against the up against the clock. I don't feel like that there's any clock right now. I think people are just gravitating toward tangible skill, and anything that says tangible skill. And I think people are kind of like going away from being marketed to constantly. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, who the fuck wants to be marketed to at a time like this? So I think that's why guys like Freddie Gibbs getting like a major label deals and shit like that, because it's just that time. That's why Versus did so well. I think that's why D Nice DJing gets so much engagement. You know what I mean? Like, I think people just are back to like the grassroots of things. And I think when you put something in front of them that's just like some crazy shit, like some trolling or something like that, whatever, beef and all of that shit, who the fuck wants to be engaged in like a beef, especially with grown ass people?
yeah. I agree. Like, especially, like, I think for working class people, you already have enough to deal with. Like, you just want, to have something to look forward to, to, be entertained and not have to, deal with constant, bickering between such and such and media driven, uh,
That's
you
why
know,
it seemed like Dave Chappelle right now, of all the times in the world, right now shouldn't be the time where Dave Chappelle is being like attacked for the nature of his content. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
he has no history of having any bad intention behind anything that he's ever done. Not
I've,
one
ne-
time.
I've never seen a comedian be, uh, get treated like Chappelle. Like, you was like the way Chappelle has been treated is like when, Luke or Ice T were in the news and they were in constant back and forths with, law enforcement, with uh, the media about freedom of the press. You know, it just seems like Dave Chappelle is his uh, not like his not even his humor, but him as a person. Like, it's like he's making a pivot, to being a comedian, to being a truth teller, and just revealing America for who it really is.
Yeah, I mean,
'Cause,
he's always been that. I mean, Paul Mooney was that. Like a lot of comedians were that. But it's something about Dave Chappelle, man. He's really, really disarming, like with the way that he chooses his words. Like, he can convey the same message that I can convey, except it doesn't offend as many people. It's something about the way he delivers it. It's something about his disposition. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I understand like different groups, trans group and all of that. Listen, I definitely get it. I understand what they're trying to do. And it's like, it's real hard to toe the line between fighting for acceptance and separating yourself. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard. It's hard as fuck. So, and then two, as a creator, it's hard to like speak the truth, not offend people, for shit that you're saying not to come off in a different way from how you intended it to come off. You know what I mean? And then also what to stand on and when to realize that you just made a mistake, and to be able to hold yourself accountable and just apologize for the greater good of the situation. It's hard to be able to determine when you're just being attacked by somebody who just wants to bully you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So it's tough, bro. It's tough. That's why I said everybody with a platform has a responsibility.
yeah.
You know?
I think it was really important when he said that he's willing to meet with them, but he won't kowtow to their demands. Like, they won't summon him because it's almost like they're trying to, you know, uh, see if they can get him to crack, or will he submit to something. And I think it's important, just for people to see that, because it just seems like, with uh, with people that make art, there's almost a it's almost like a trigger, to get offended or to find something to poke a hole at without actually, watching the whole thing,
Yeah, of
like a
course.
comedy special or listening to an album.
Of course. Of course. And it's easy to be triggered during these times. I know I'm easily triggered. I had to start policing myself, man. It was a point in time during the pandemic, man, where I just stayed triggered all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I would be in my comment section on Instagram arguing with white people for hours. You know? Like
Yeah, I would read those long ass threads
yeah,
underneath your
that's when
IG posts.
you know what I took away from that?
What?
That I got to guard my energy, because once I start to get triggered, and then, it's hard to be able to determine whether I'm talking to somebody who wants to, like, who's solutionary in the way that they communicate, or I'm just talking to somebody that just wants to say stupid shit. You know what I mean? And like, once I start to get mad, then I start to say things or type things that don't really suit me. It's not necessarily a reflection of like where I stand today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the madder I get, the further back I go. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you're talking to the old me. You know what I mean? Because it's still in there. I still fuck you up. You know what I mean? But I don't want to do that. That wouldn't be a good thing. You know what I mean?
To me, like I felt like when Snoop went on the Breakfast Club and said that it was not in his top 10, and you said that you understood the criteria that he was going by, but Snoop isn't as high on your all-time list as Snoop, and like those stands just formed like bees and made a beeline to go at you. It's like the same thing. It's like people don't, like, their comprehension skills is this much.
Well, not really. Because people understand shit just fine until it's something that they don't feel like understanding at that moment. It's like everybody act like they don't fucking get it. And you can be speaking as logically as possible. You know what I mean? People are real selective with what they want to understand. You know what I mean? And what they want to be an outrage about, and what they want to take a stand on, what they want to fight for, and what they want to just sit back and be neutral about. You know what I mean? So it's like, whatever, man. And you already know how that goes in terms of Marshall. Like, he, as well documented as I am, talking about his greatness and everything that is him, and how great he is as a rapper and as a human being. None of that matters. You know what I mean? So that tells me that a lot of those fans some of them have a picture in their mind of how they feel, a black man should behave standing next to somebody like him. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Like, anything that you say that's subjective or anything close to it is getting out of line. Like, how can you say that about somebody else? You know what I mean? And that tells me that not everybody understands this culture. That's why I'm so against pandering to other audiences, other genres of music, because other genres of music don't understand hip hop like we do. Because if you understood it, then you will understand barbershop talk. You would
Right.
understand that, just because I'm close friends with somebody, it doesn't mean that I have to love everything they're doing. And it doesn't mean if I like somebody's album more than his album, it doesn't mean that I like him more than my friend.
Just a matter of
It just means I
preference.
like what I like. And I don't expect for my friends to ride around and listen to me all the time. Like, my sister used to pick me up, and every time I got in the car, it'd be some of my music playing. That shit feels weird. I'm like, turn that shit off, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's no no rule in the real nigga handbook that says, you know, that you have to wave anybody's flag 24 hours a day. You know what I mean? Like I don't understand why. Well, I do understand why some people expect that. I just don't understand why whenever somebody doesn't say that he's the greatest lyricist that ever lived in the world, that means he's being attacked. Not being attacked. Nobody could take away what he is. Nobody can validate him. He's what he is because of music that he's done and his contributions to the culture. And no matter, and people have tried really, really hard to discredit that in every single way possible, and they fail. So, you know, like you can't fake it this long. If he was faking it, then he would be exposed already. So that tells you right there, like who the fuck cares what anybody's opinion is? People's opinions is not what got him where he's at. You know?
Yeah.
So
What did you make of the verses between Kane and KRS One? Just as far as the you know, the performance and you know, and how the event came off.
that shit was like a masterclass. It was like a masterclass, man. It was nostalgic. It was two top tier lyrical gods, veterans and legends, taking the shit real serious and going out there and performing their hearts out and really being competitive. Like they showed you every facet of this shit. They showed you competitive nature. They showed you ruthlessness. You know what I mean? And then they showed you good sportsmanship. They showed you lyricism. You know, they showed you showmanship. They showed you everything. You know what I mean? And they showed you two different approaches to this shit. Like Kane is a great performer for not the same reasons that Chris is a great performer. They're two great performers for two different reasons. And both of those reasons clash with each other. And somehow you wasn't able to pick a winner unless you were just partial to one side. You know what I mean? I love that.
I also felt like it showed like the influence that each had on the culture. Like you saw like Hakeem Green from Channel Live, you know, come out for Madism, even though he did perform the same verse twice. But, you know, just the same, it was just dope to see Nice and Smooth and Das Effects and Mad Lion, you know, come out and, you know, support, you know, Kane and Chris. And it just shows that, you know, long careers, you know, just how great their careers are and that they're so great that they could bring out people that they inspired, you
Yo,
know.
the whole crowd was famous people. You know what I mean? Like it's something to be said about an event and having people performing that make you feel like a kid again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's some wild shit, man. Like I can't listen to Summertime by Will Smith and not think of like a specific family reunion. Every single time I hear it, it's the same memory immediately. That's powerful, man. That's powerful because of drinking. I don't remember what I ate last week. You know what I'm saying? But when that song comes on, it's like, man, it takes me straight to a place. You know?
Yeah. And I felt, and you know, like I lost when I was keeping score, but by the end of it, I didn't care anymore. Like just seeing them, you know, go back and forth with their hits, you know, it was it was definitely one of the greatest, you know, you know, Snoop and DMX is another one.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I was happy just to see DMX, not knowing that he would, you know, pass, you know, a year later, just seeing him in his element, you know, performing with Snoop and Snoop knowing his line, Snoop knowing his music, DMX knowing his music, and just seeing X, you know, get the proverbial flowers and really, you know, show it, you know, show why he's so great. you know, in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Shit, yeah, Snoop too. Snoop is one of those icons that you forget what you're looking at until those moments. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Snoop ain't a motherfucking joke, man. Everything that Dre has ever touched that has been successful has fucking shook the world. You know what I mean? Stopped the world 3 times over. And Doggy Style is like the foundation of everything that is Snoop. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be hard to put that man against somebody that can beat him when he got that album in his catalog, bro.
I still got the cassette right here, like this album. When I got it, I just listened to side A over and over again. I couldn't get to side B at least for a couple of days because that run of songs from G Funk intro to Serial Killer is some of Dre's best produced songs, and just Snoop's flow was so different, and he just came off the Chronic, so the built-in anticipation is what created that groundswell for him to do what he did.
Mm-hmm. You worded it perfectly.
Who do you like? Who do you see M doing a versus with? Because I would love to see him do it, but I don't know who would be really on his caliber to even do it.
There's people on his caliber. You don't think nobody out there of his caliber?
When I say caliber, I'm talking about his level of fame. Because there's many people that are on his caliber, but I understand Versus is a business, so I'm wondering, like, damn, who could M go against? Like maybe Busta Rhymes.
Well, when you say his level of fame, what are you basing that off? Numbers?
Just level of media attention. Like maybe that's what I'm talking about. Like cause like I'm thinking like if M goes against, I don't know, Pharoah Monch, for example, it's just like unless you really know Pharoah Monch's catalog, most people just want to go with M.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
That definitely makes sense. But what about somebody that's more in his weight class, like Jay-Z?
Yeah, that I would. Those are two evenly matched titans right there.
Now we getting somewhere.
Yeah.
Now we getting somewhere. What you think?
To me, it would depend on what M would play. Because if M just goes, if M goes with the joints like Role Model or 8 Mile Road, like something like songs like that, it would be hard for me to pick uh you know pick J against M, but it would depend on song selection.
I think the only issue that would come at versus if they were able to, if M was willing to do it against somebody like Jay-Z, like if Ho was willing to do it, the only problem would be what venue to do it at, because it would have to be in a straight up arena.
Yeah, like
a very big one, because that's all they perform at anyway.
Yeah, like the Garden or shit here or here in Detroit, maybe like Ford Field or something.
Yeah, because I was gonna say it would have to be bigger than the Garden. Wembley.
Yeah. What do you what do you make of Jay's evolution, since uh uh since the 444 album, cuz some people, some people like it, some people don't like it, but just his creative evolution, since then.
His creative evolution.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I like in my eyes, Jay-Z has elevated past. He's elevated past the realm of me judging him as a creator or being critical of him as a creator,
Mm.
because he's elevating so much as a person
Mhm.
that it's just like it's almost like I can't just focus on how well he raps anymore, because he's too much more than a rapper now. You know what I mean? He's not going down in history as a rapper. So, I mean, if I'm gonna use the word elevation or evolution in the same context as saying Jay-Z, then I feel like I'm forced to look at everything. You know what I mean? And then I love what I see. It's nothing. What is there to not like? What is there to be critical of? You know what I mean? I think he's doing a lot of things, and he represents a lot of things that some people won't appreciate until looking at it retroactively. You know what I mean? And I feel the same way about Puff and Suge and Master P and Baby, especially Baby. You know what I mean? Like I don't really know if black people know what they're looking at when they look at Baby, because they too easily distracted by, like him not he don't know how to pay nobody. All they doing is doing a bunch of drugs and kissing each other in the mouth and all of that. My man, they did their deal with Universal in 1997.
Mm.
From 1997 until now, they still running Cash Money Records. Cash Money Records is responsible for walking billions of dollars into the Universal building. Baby should be running Universal. That's what I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
The whole theory of him not paying nobody, labels don't fucking pay people. It's just not a press release about it. You know what I mean? And he's in bed with the biggest label in the world. So if he's having problems with accounting, and that label that he's in bed with for the tune of billions is allowing him to have problems with accounting, and they know they can just fix it just like that, that means that they see some sort of upside in allowing him to have problems with accounting. You think Scooter Braun didn't have issues?
yeah, of course he did. You know what I mean?
I do you
But
one
like
even better.
it's
I do you one even better. Lil Wayne, at the height of his career, went to Rikers. He was targeted by the hip hop police, and he went to jail in New York for having a gun on his tour bus. Not on him, on his tour bus. And he went to prison. Never been in prison before. You don't think Post Malone got a gun on his tour bus?
of course of course he does. You
What
know what I
about the rock
mean?
and roll guys?
Or shit, they got guns, they got every type of drug imaginable.
They throwing hotel furniture out the fucking window of the hotel room. So of course they got guns.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Rock and roll lifestyle, like it's all because of race, all because of uh just because of his race and preconceived notions about what hip hop is.
Well, I'll tell you what. Lil Wayne gave you Nicki, Tiger, Drake, and that's just like the resurgence of Cash Money Records, Young Money Records.
Mm-hmm.
For that, it was the Hot Boys, it was Juvie, it was BG, it was Young Weezy. You know what I mean? And then Baby has something to do with NBA YoungBoy, Young Thug. I mean, shit, you just keep naming people. And I don't know exactly what his area of expertise is in terms of being an executive, because I don't know. I'm not in there with them, and I can't tell you who's doing what. But I can tell you somebody's doing something. You know what I mean? What's up, my bro?
That's
Salute,
my
bro.
guy.
Salute.
That's my guy Harlem Fresh.
All right, how you doing, man?
Ain't shit good now. I mean, enjoying the conversation. I ain't get a chance to chop it up with you since last time you was on my platform on No Knockoffs Radio. Now I mean, but definitely the message and everything that y'all talking about, yo, I have no choice but to agree. Like, I'm loving what I'm hearing, the dialogue itself, and it's a lot of shit that's going on that they try to sweep under the rug. Now I mean, and then they try to control the narrative, but it's too much of us going against each other and trying to downplay each other just to be in the good sights of the other man's eye and shit. And sometimes it's just too much. It's just too much of us trying to play each other. And then it's like if you don't agree with the masses, then you the one with the problem. Just because you have a different perspective or a different outlook on how you want to handle yourself. So it's like, yo, this shit is crazy out here. Should Kyrie play basketball? Kyrie should be able to do whatever the hell he want to do. If he want to play, he want to play. If he don't want to play, he don't want to play. But it should be his decision, and he really shouldn't be scrutinized about that shit. And then when y'all was talking about the Lil Wayne thing, like the hip hop police was doing the numbers on everybody in New York, really. You couldn't even come through New York without somebody tailing you and shit. But for them to single-handle pick him out while he's at the height of his career, and for him to do that time for being on his bus and not on him personally, that's the okie doke bullshit right there. So I'm fucking with you, Royce and Bash. You already know how me and you do. I'm in the loop. Whatever y'all want to talk about, let's do it. I'm rolling up.
I think the hip hop police targeting hip hop artists, I think that's just a hip hop agenda. But I think him going to jail, actually being found guilty for that, and not being protected by Universal, I think that's a whole separate issue.
Okay.
You know, because I mean, listen, man.
Do you feel like Universal should have stepped in and protected him because he was the cash cow at that point?
I mean, ain't that what they do with every other cash cow?
True.
You think Drake is going to jail under any circumstances?
Hell no.
You're not gonna even see a bad Drake mugshot
At all.
You know what I mean? Like it's yo. Wayne publicly saying that he feels that he's owed $50 million. I just don't think if Marshall publicly said that he was owed $50 million, the Interscope wouldn't pay it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the grand scheme of what's being generated, that's not really a lot of money. It's not really in your best interest as any sort of label for your cash cow to be upset when they don't have to be.
True.
And you know, you're gonna protect them. You're gonna protect them at all costs, man. Like
Well, the word was that Birdman said that he paid Wayne that money out his pocket. Well, not the whole bunch, but he paid him basically that money out his pocket. So I'm trying to figure out, if you had the money to pay Wayne the whole time, what was the hold up?
Well, I mean, I can only speculate on that.
Yeah.
But to me, that's not what the problem is. Like, see, the reason why I'm okay with them having those kinds of issues is because I know that somehow they're going to figure out a way to rectify that, because they really have a real relationship with each other. They love each other.
True.
So, you know, anybody can make a mistake and anybody can come back for it. And anybody can make an error.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is the standard that all of us as a culture hold each other to, and then we don't hold anybody else to the same standard.
Okay.
You know, like if you would be ready to bust Baby's head for shorting you by $20, and then you honored to be fucked by Leor, then that's no good. Like all of this is an indication of us not understanding what our value is. I don't think we understand how valuable that it is for a black man, Dino DeValier, to go down to New Orleans and go in a record store and ask them who popping down here. And they say, yo, Cash Money. And he buys all of their cassettes that they got in the stores, and CDs and shit. Take them back to his hotel room and listen to them. And he like them. So he calls the number on the back of the CD to try to meet up with him.
Yeah.
And, you know, one thing led to another. And he was somehow able to talk Baby in the flying to New York, which Baby didn't like doing because he was already getting money. And that led to, you know, one of the greatest deals in the history of hip hop. And I just feel like what Dino did it comes so natural. So we don't look at it, or we don't think about it in a way where we would even place value on it or put a number on it. But why not?
Now that we on this topic, Royce, I want to ask you your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the Meek Mill situation as far as him stating what he stated about not being paid by his record label? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't really have any thoughts on it. I feel like, you know, like if you along with longevity comes, and you know, business dealings, partnerships, agreements, contracts, tons of money being generated and having to be disseminated to different people. I just feel like at some point somebody's gonna have to audit somebody. Somebody's gonna end up unhappy somewhere. Somebody's gonna maybe come up with the short end of the stick. Mistakes are gonna be made. Things are gonna be done on purpose. Like, you know what I mean? I just think it's kind of like par for the course.
Yeah.
You know, so
that make me open my eyes up to more to what like Soulja Boy was saying in the interview. He said he signed one deal and then after that he went independent. He was like, fuck the majors, because he wanted to get all his money. And I'm like, shouldn't more people have that kind of sense of urgency these days to like, yo, all right, you want to get put on, you sign that one major deal, but instead of re-ing up with that major, why don't you just bet on yourself if you create that buzz that's strong enough and hold your own and be independent? Like, don't you think that aspect out of the game is missing when really it really should be focused on? Because you could do everything independent these days.
Yeah, I think it is focused on. I think it's focused on. I just feel like a common misconception is that when you do a deal with a major label, that you're giving up so much. Yeah, you're giving up so much if that's what you agree to. You know, like it's not, people aren't in bad deals with major labels because they're in deals with major labels. They're in bad deals with major labels because they're in a deal with somebody where they don't have the information and they can be taken advantage of.
They don't know how to negotiate, read the paperwork, huh? They don't know how to negotiate or read the contracts.
Yeah, but why would we know how to do that? Who's going to teach us that?
We need to, Royce.
Well, yeah, we saying the same thing, except I think what I'm saying is that the effort and the emphasis should be placed on providing the youngins with the information, not scaring them away from doing deals with major labels.
Okay.
Because all it does is create this proverbial white man, this proverbial big boogeyman who controls the way that everybody thinks and controls what everybody listening to. That's not true.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers get too much credit. They don't know shit. They don't do shit. They're just a big bank. You know what I mean? So if they can take advantage of you, they will, because that's what they're in business to do. It's checks and balances. They're in this for a profit. They're going to put in the least amount of money that they can to look for the largest return that they can.
Exactly.
So if you as an artist understand that, and you understand that you can get in a partnership with somebody like that, but you guys have two different goals. You're not here just to make profit. You're here to build a brand and create something that can be self-serving to you over the longest period of time possible. The problem we have is we come looking to build relationships with them and compete with each other. So we look to the label to build us. And most of the time, we can't articulate to them exactly what we are. So in return, they try to articulate to the world what they feel that you are. And that can never be a thing.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because I'm like,
Hip hop artists don't get created. That's some pop shit.
exactly. Because I'm like, people look for the eight. All right, so you said artists look for the label to build them. So I'm like, in actuality, the artist kind of keeps the label's doors open. So
Yes.
the artist should be able to, all right, let me sign this deal this one time, get my shit up, go ahead and get fronted this money, give them their shit back, and then get my show money on top, and then let me go independent and let the label try to mooch off somebody else.
Yeah, but they don't have to mooch off you.
Huh? It's true.
It's just, look at it exactly like this. It's all intellectual property, right? You own 100% of it. The more that you're able to accumulate in terms of influence, viewership, buzz, the more that you're able to accumulate, the better your chances are to get the attention of the label that's like this big ass bank. All the label's going to do is say, I want to meet with you so we can discuss you allowing me to buy into what you're already doing. What are you willing to give up for that? If you don't know, then I'm going to tell you what standard. This is what we gave him. This is what you take. And we go, okay. And that's it. Because, you know, we're being made to feel like we'll never get another opportunity again. We're afraid to say no. We're afraid to say no. We're afraid to make mistakes. Everything about getting in a deal with a big company makes us second guess everything that got us there to begin with. All of our instincts, you know, all of these words being weaponized against us. Don't be arrogant, man. You don't want to be hard to work with. You got to be on time. You don't got to be none of those things. You don't got to be none of those things. Who the fuck cares? Who the fuck cares who's nice? I don't know. I don't know anybody at a label that's ever been nice.
It's just business.
It's just business.
So would you say with the first deal that you signed, were you privy and up to tune to what everything was going on as far as the paperwork and everything, or well, at that moment, did you just be happy to be signed? Yo, I'm fresh out of Detroit. I know I'm nice. I got a buzz. I want to sign.
Yeah, of course. I was just happy to be getting a deal.
Okay.
And all I heard was $1 million. That's all I heard. It was $1 million. Because we come from nothing.
Yeah.
So when you hear $1 million, all you thinking about is the advance and the signing bonus. All of the other stuff, I'll work that out later. You know what I mean? I'll hire a lawyer. Hopefully I can trust that he'll do the right thing. And he or she will do right by, put it like this. If it's an attorney attorneys build relationships with labels by doing label-friendly deals.
Yeah.
With artists who don't know no better. So the agenda is not necessarily your best interest. It's to use you to gain more power in the building. So when you do need to flex a muscle in the building, when you do need to call somebody in internal affairs and say, yo, I want you to shelve this record because this black person just made me mad. They can do that.
Yeah.
Because all of those years of lunches to discuss these deals that end up in the label's favor. I think the Cash Money deal is so paramount, man. I don't think it was in their best interest to be so public, when I say them, I mean Universal. It was in their best interest to be so public about having to give them what they asked for.
They should have kept that on the hush.
They did keep it on the hush. You ain't hear about it?
Not until it was spoke about.
And what'd you hear about it when it was spoken about? And who was it spoken about by?
I bet Baby said he had a check for over $1 billion or close to $1 billion.
Has Baby ever said that all we do is do heroin and I kiss people in the mouth and I can't pay nobody? Has he ever said that?
Nah.
You know, why is that so? Why is that so well known?
Because that's all the people was focusing on.
I mean, they focus on what's being placed in front of them.
And that's who's controlling the narrative.
I guess if you let them, because it wasn't just press releases talking about the bad shit they were doing. It was a shitload of great music.
That's
it was
fact.
all kind of records being broke, billions of dollars being made. If I worked for Apple and I generated that kind of money for them, if I made 2 or 3 decisions that brought in that kind of revenue, I'd be at the highest of the food chain that I can possibly be.
As you should.
Yeah, so why is it different in our culture?
Everything changed in our culture when we start letting the other people, the corporations, get control.
Control of what?
They got control of individuals because they dangled the carrot in front of the rabbit. They put the money out there. Too many people sell their soul for the bag. They sell their soul for the bag, and then they do it for the short-term bag. They don't do it for the longevity bag to where it's generational wealth. They sign it just so they could go get the newest Lambo or the newest Bentley type shit. That's what they want to do. So it's like the corporations know I could put this type of money in front of this individual. He buzzing in the streets. Yeah, they showing guns and doing all this other shit and sipping lean, and they might kill each other, but fuck it. That's just going to generate more money and revenue for us because, you know, you're better off dead than alive sometimes. You go more famous when you're dead. So it's just like the corporations don't give a fuck about the people. The people themselves, they selling themselves short because they just want to get the bag. And it's like, it's one big revolving door. And they getting them younger because the younger you are, the easier you are to manipulate.
Yeah, well, I think one of the biggest mistakes is looking to the corporations to care about us. What the fuck do we need that for?
When you could be independent.
You know what I mean? Like, who cares how they feel about us?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like we are crazy to look to somebody to fix something for us that they broke. Like,
They
we're
broke
talking
this
about
shit.
record labels.
Yeah.
Like the music industry has evolved into us almost getting what we deserve. Like, you have to ask for your masters. Like, there was a point in time where asking for publishing wasn't even a thing. And by the time artists started to realize that publishing was a big part of how you paid out, and they started asking for it, they just start getting it in small amounts. Now, if you got all of your publishing, that's like, really? You have all of it? And it's like we're thanking people for having all our publishing. I don't fucking owe you a thank you for me having something that was always mine to begin with. It was never yours. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So it's just like it's like the music industry hasn't even really evolved that much. I mean, there was a point in time where, you know, artists just got paid with fame. You know what I'm saying? Now at least it's not as many people dying broke and shit like that, but they're doing what they can to, like, put it like this. I feel like those big shiny platforms that they control, it doesn't matter that they control them. It matters that we're always talking about how much control that they have over these platforms that they've always had control over.
Yeah.
There's never going to be a time where they're going to say, here, take control of these platforms we own. You know, it's like we're asking for inclusion in something we don't need inclusion into.
See, when you say that, Royce, that make me think about the whole Jay-Z running Def Jam. Did people really think Jay-Z was in charge of Def Jam like that?
He was. He was. Why is that so hard to believe?
Or maybe hold on. My fact, I take that back, Royce. I'm talking about with the Nets. The ownership with the Nets. I feel like Jay-Z was just like the poster boy for the Nets at that point in time. I
Oh, I
didn't
don't.
feel like he like really owned the team like that.
I mean, I'm not privy to that information. But why you feel like that?
I think they just used him. Like he used a quick position. He made a maneuver and flipped it to some revenue, and he moved on. To me, that's what Jay-Z do with most of this shit. He do something for a hot minute. He get his flip, his worth out of it, and then he step on to the next business venture.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like that's been his business model.
Yeah.
He acquires it, he builds it, sells it, moves on, acquires it, builds it, sells it, moves on.
But did he do Def Jam his just due as a president though? Because
Of
it
course he
seemed
did.
like when he became president of Def Jam, it wasn't doing the numbers that it needed to do.
That is incorrect. That is incorrect. Put it like this.
Unless you just count Rihanna numbers, Royce. Unless you
No, I mean, I look at it like this. We the only ones who have a report card in this shit.
Okay.
Right? Like, people play musical chairs with all of these seats all the time.
All right.
A lot of these guys get in these seats and they do horrible jobs. But it's not publicized. It's not publicized, and then they move on and they go get jobs elsewhere. If Jay-Z would have did a bad job sitting in that seat at Def Jam, it would have been on the fucking cover of Rolling Stone. You know one thing that Jay-Z did sitting in that seat that nobody else would have did, but nobody really talks about. He had like this long-standing rivalry with DMX. They had like this classic battle. I'm sure you heard about the classic battle that they had.
Mm-hmm.
And X was over there, and he just decided, look, man, I'm not trying to like be up under this dude. I'm not trying to take orders from this dude. So D&Y went to Hove and asked him if they can get a release, if he can release X, because so they can go over to Sony and do his next album over at Sony.
Yeah.
Jay-Z said okay, and wiped clean a $8 million debt and let X go to Sony. Free of charge.
Chess move.
New chess move. I mean, it's really like this. If some of us that mean well don't sit in some of those seats, then shit like that can never happen. That's the only true upside that I see to it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it wasn't Jay-Z's money. No different from it's not anybody else's money. It's not none of these white guys' money. They just would never do that shit for none of us in a million years. I don't give a fuck how much they say they love the culture. If you could tell me one time any of these guys who a lot of people put up on a pedestal and say that they're so great at being executives, while guys like Russell Simmons, who created tangible things, tangible millionaires. He created Def Jam in his dorm room at NYU. He created Def Comedy Jam. He created Fat Farm and created a whole lot of jobs for black people and gave you a whole lot of classic moments that can't be duplicated. What is he? Former drug user, rapist. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, that's why we need certain people in certain seats. Dame used to jump up and down and fight for us tooth and nail.
Facts.
All he did was share information and check the shit out of people, hold people accountable. Same with Suge Knight. How'd that turn out? Oh man, Dame just be hollering at everybody, man. Why Dame be talking to people like that? Why Dame gotta watch how he talk to people?
If you tried to play him, he called you out on it. If you was trying to be sneaky or front, he called you out on it. Like, that's what it is.
And it's like, yeah, you can't be like Dame, man. You got to be nice to everybody. Why? What about the other executive? What about the white guys? Who the fuck they being nice to? Because I can name you 5 things off the top of my head that were life-changing for the culture that Dame has done. I can't say that for a lot of these other guys.
Facts.
I can't tell you that I could point out what qualifies certain people to be in certain positions and to be able to dictate what's hot and what's not in the culture.
They're not checking boxes, Royce. They don't check those boxes.
They don't have to check no boxes. We got to check all the boxes. And then when we check them, we scrutinize for the way we check them. I know Puff made some mistakes, but I mean, come on, man. If you, in order to become a mogul at that time in hip hop, and you young, you wild, listen, you're gonna make some fucking mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure he can look back in retrospect at his career, and there's certain things that he would have done different. But if we keep on holding him to some standard, some imaginary standard that we've never seen before, just because he's black, then we're not even allowing him to evolve.
True.
And if we're going to hold him to that standard, then we got to hold everybody at every label to the same standard, because there's nothing that he's done that they aren't still doing right now. We just don't care. Unless it's us doing something that we don't think we don't like.
So we quick to get mad at each other if we think we trying to play each other, but when we know the labels is playing us, we overlook it because it's the labels and they the bank.
Yeah, a lot of people don't look at the label like they playing us.
Oh, they playing niggas. They playing people. They playing them in their contracts. They playing them in their deals. They playing them in all kinds of ways. They just overlooking it because they're getting a fraction of a bit of a bag, while the corporation or the label is getting that big comma check.
Yep. I gotta agree with you there, bro.
It's crazy. People gotta start doing their homework.
I mean, you know, like people who speak out and stand up for things, they're more so looked at as like disruptors. Dame was looked at as a disruptor. He wasn't looked at like he was for us. He was just looked at like the one of them who likes to disrupt everything. You know what I mean? But they wasn't saying that when they wouldn't give Jay-Z a record deal. That's the only reason why Rockefeller even happened. He couldn't get a record deal.
Exactly.
So who's the executive or label person who sat down with Jay-Z and told him that he needs to rap more like the Fushnikins? Who is this person? Where's this report card at? Because if it's your job to be able to identify with talent, and you tell arguably somebody who went on to be arguably the greatest rapper ever, and you told him that he needs to be rapping like somebody else, then not only were you wrong, but you were the most wrong you could be.
120% wrong, 1,000%.
So if I look at that, I can't be that wrong.
Yeah.
I can't be that wrong. I can't even fucking, bruh. My report card is I gotta wear everything I do wrong like a scarlet letter. You think Beyonce can afford to be somewhere eating in public and pick her nose? She can't afford to do that.
That's a negative.
She has to appear to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? It's like fucking, bruh. Jay-Z did a fantastic job at Def Jam. He did a fantastic job. I can name you some people that did a fucking horrible job though. And that's not even a thing that even gets talked about.
So do you feel like Interscope? What did you feel was like? Let me see. How can I say? What did you feel like was the downfall? Like, I wouldn't say the downfall, but what changed in Interscope to where it wasn't lit how it used to be?
How it used to be?
Yeah, because it was at one point when Interscope was just lit. Everything was just lit. Like, artists, like, Interscope had a run. Interscope had a solid ass run where they was putting out nothing but fire, and you just seen all the Interscope artists everywhere. But it seemed like it kind of died down a little bit at one point. Like, did you see that transition or change in it, or what's your thoughts on that?
Which point in time are you referring to? You talking about like which era? Like, name a couple artists.
Shit. Was it Slaughterhouse? Wasn't Slaughterhouse in the scope?
Yeah,
Shady
Shady.
Aftermath in the scope.
Yeah.
So from when y'all was there, y'all was lit. Of course, I fuck with y'all music, all of y'all. But then after that, it just seemed like it died down a little bit. Like the only time it was like a highlight when M was popping out a record that you had to know about because it wasn't really getting publicized like that. M would put out a sneak record and shit. It seemed like sometimes, but it seemed like
You talking about the way the Interscope promotes records?
yeah, how they promote and how they just keep the artist buzzing because it just seemed like it just became lackluster.
I'm not sure, bro. I mean, as technology started to evolve and like the way that people started to consume music started to change, you know, so the whole label dynamic within itself changed. Everything changed. Everything changed. And it always, like that hot spot, that white hot spot that labels often find themselves in, like it always changes hands. It's just like artists.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like one artist stays in the white hot spot for their whole career. You know, when I say the white hot spot, I mean like that spot that everybody clamors to when they first get into the
Yeah.
game. They clamor to be the quote unquote it artist. You know
Like
what I'm
50
saying?
was, sort of say. When 50
Yeah.
came, 50 had that white hot spot.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like everybody goes for that spot. And then, you know, some artists evolve past that spot gracefully.
Mm-hmm.
And they become even bigger, like Marshall, Jay-Z, shit, even 50.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he transcended into other things. He used his brand, and he just grew into you know, he's actually a multimedia mogul.
Yeah, he evolved. He evolved with the time.
I resent the fact that he's not known as that. They still call him a gangster rapper and shit.
Really?
But I think it's just a change in the hands every so often, every few years. Everybody got their time where they just kind of on top. You know what I mean? Then you had a lot of different kinds of artists that could coexist all at the same time, a lot of different times. You know what I'm saying? Like that's when shit was really fun. You know what I mean? Like when you can have Jay-Z running shit as like the best rapper in the world in the top spot who's willing to go close out the Summer Jam stage and just declare war on all the other ill MCs.
I remember that.
And then be like, he on the top, but he's still doing like shit like going and rapping at radio and just creating all these exciting ass moments. But then at the same time, you got M, you know what I mean? And then he evolved into an executive. Then he get his hands on 50. But you know, that whole time Wayne was coming up, like letting everybody know in advance that he coming for all their spots. Then you have somebody like Nelly, only dudes moving units, M, Pimp Juice, and us. Like Nelly moving units a completely different way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you got like Tech Nine and them running shit on in like a niche circuit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was just a whole lot of moving parts all going at the same time. And everybody was kind of like finding a way to coexist. You know what I mean? So like I think that's when it was at its best. And then when everything started to change in terms of just like technology evolving, which is a tech issue, that's not really even a hip hop issue. The way that people listen to music, that has really nothing to do with hip hop. That just has to do with what kind of computer you're gonna have, and whether you're gonna stream things or you're gonna fucking keep trying to go buy hard copies of shit as the inventory just gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
So eventually you forced to consume music the way that everybody else does. And, you know, in turn, the artists have a whole new way of doing deals and a whole new way of getting paid that we didn't negotiate. So labels did everything that they could to have the upper hand on artists, which they still do when it comes to streaming. But just in terms of influence over the world, they don't have that upper hand. If they had that upper hand, then they wouldn't have needed to do what they did with streaming and stand together in solidarity and have meetings and decide how they're going to get in bed with each other without telling us, and then just came to us and said, here, this is what y'all getting. You know who said, no, the fuck we ain't? Jay-Z. Jay-Z said, you ain't getting my fucking music. I'll start my own platform.
And that's what the title.
That's where title came from.
Title, yeah. Because
he knew it was robbery.
You said, Royce, that the labels got controls of the stream. So I'm thinking it's like, okay, so let me use you for instance, Royce. All right, Royce. Right now, if you wanted to, you could put a single out and just throw that bitch on Dat Piff or Spotify if you want, right? And it do its numbers. You don't have to share that money with nobody.
So what's the point you're making exactly? So that the label is just another hand in the pot?
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's just, that's what I'm saying. Like if you moving as a self-contained unit, and if you want to do everything yourself and you make all the money, then that's fantastic. If you get tired of having to do everything yourself and you want to hire staff, you want to hire a manager, then you got to give them some of the money. If you want to partner up with somebody who has an entire staff full of resources that can help you service a bigger audience of people, then you go do a deal with a label where you negotiate how much you're willing to give them for what they're giving you. That's all. My issue with streaming is not that it's another hand in the pot. My issue with streaming is nobody showed us how to quantify that shit. Nobody showed us how much money they making off that shit, how they're monetizing that shit. All they told us is what we getting. And they even told us how many streams equal a record sale. The fuck? How do they determine that?
So how many streams determine the record sale? Word. How the fuck do you determine that? But you gotta have 100 streams.
If I'm independent and I'm uploading shit to DSPs myself without muscle from a label, and I can't manage to get on certain playlists and shit like that, because all streaming platforms are like, just imagine when you used to go to the record store, if as soon as you walked into the record store, you had somebody standing there going, hey, welcome to Spotify. If you look to your right, this is the old nigga music. If you look to your left, this is the music for the women. If you look over here, this is the cool kid music. If you look over here, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And they sent you in a bunch of different directions, and everything was broken down. And the agenda behind it was to cater to a younger demographic, because the younger people are the ones who stream the most. So now you got artists who are big just because of the way that their demographic consumes music. So if I can't get on a certain playlist, like if I put out a single right now and you put it on the Rap Caviar playlist, I'm automatically gonna sell way more records. So it has nothing to do with whether people are willing to stream my music or not. Because if I go and negotiate with a label and they tell me you're only doing 90 streams a day, it doesn't mean that there's only 90 people who want to stream my shit. Because if you put it on the Rap Caviar playlist and it's there and it's available and the kids can see it, you can't say whether they would like it or they would want to stream it. So you automatically shouldn't be able to use that analytic as a weapon against me. So the key is not to let anybody place value on you. If you let them do that, then they're going to undervalue you every time. And they got every analytic you can think of in the book. They do it across the board. Same thing with the weight, same thing with all these underserved communities that we've been marginalized to. Same thing. They put us all in a certain area, and by doing that, it creates a certain reaction. And everything that are those reactions, they create stats. You got the murder rate, you got black on black crime, you got homeless people, you got the unemployed, you got all of these things, and they just use it as ammo to say, no, y'all don't deserve that. They got a whole motherfucking system set up that goes straight from the school system straight into the prison industrial complex. It's like a clear pathway.
Yeah.
So I can't even really fault the average white person for prejudging something that's been created.
I mean, Royce, people only do what you allow them to do to you. You agree?
I mean, you talking about in the context of doing a record deal?
I mean, just in general, like, it's whether if you're not reading the paperwork and you got your shit together and know the directions and what you're worth, then of course the label's gonna get over on you.
Yeah, of course. It's in their best interest to do that.
Because they want to gain more money. It's all about money.
Personal.
So it's like if you don't do your homework, if you ain't got a solid team that know to cross the T's and dot the I's, the label will take advantage of you. If you go independent and you don't know how to get that fan base and make sure you generate a certain buzz and know how to get your shit on every platform, shit, you might lose out. So it's like you just got to know how to do your shit and sharpen your sword every time. You just got to stay sharp and on your toes and keep evolving with technology so you can keep capitalizing. That's how I look at it.
You ever heard Post Malone complain about his deal?
No, I haven't.
What about G-Eazy?
G-Eazy, not that I'm aware of. I never heard of either one of them complaining about their deals.
That's interesting because I heard somebody say, a very decorated person on Clubhouse say, signing a bad deal is just a part of it in the beginning. You have to take a step back in order to be able to take steps forward. And I resent that.
Why is that?
Well, I know why he said that, because doing a bad deal has just become normalized. You know what I mean? But it's like, it'd be cool if that applied to everybody. If everybody had to take a step back, we can't afford to take a step back. Why the fuck we got to take a step back? What's cool about taking a step back?
We already climbing from behind.
So why would we tell the kids that go ahead and take a bad deal? Because if it wasn't for the bad deal, it wouldn't have been this situation and that situation. That's dumb as fuck.
Hell yeah.
You know, if it wasn't for the bad deal, imagine if it was a good deal. Then what? Then imagine what the next situation would have been. What we happy to take L's for? Share the information.
No, I'm not into taking L's unless it's one I rolled up, Royce. Fuck that.
You can't afford to, bro.
That's the only L I'm taking is the one I roll up. And I'm about to roll another one up now.
Well, it's not like we haven't shown where we can take a stand against being taken advantage of. All you gotta do is look at the streets. Like you go outside right now and short another nigga $30 and he may bust your head across the street. So it's not like people feel like that across the board. There are situations where under no circumstances would you be willing to take an L. You're not taking that L.
Nah.
I'm just wondering, where's that energy when you come into this space? Why is it cool to take an L in this space? Why? What's cool about that?
So you basically saying you want people to question, like, okay, you're not taking an L in the street, but you're willing to take an L when it comes to a corporation. Why are you doing that? What's the difference? What's changing?
Yeah, and I got a good guess. I would say because you stepping into uncharted territory where you've been indoctrinated with fear of making mistakes, because you get made to feel like you can be replaced. You get made to feel and look disposable. You know what I mean? So, like you being treated like you're being given something. Can you imagine looking back at things in retrospect and thinking to yourself, I didn't been saying thank you all of this time, when really I was doing more for this motherfucker than they were doing for me?
Mm.
That's a cold ass thing to hold on to, because it make you realize that had I had the information, I could have made more sound decisions. But even deeper than that, if I had known that nobody can come and remove me, I wouldn't have been so afraid to make mistakes. You know, when you don't know what your next move is, fear of the unknown, that's paralyzing. Sometimes you'll do nothing.
Yeah.
And doing nothing is the only mistake that you made in that scenario. Sitting there trying to figure it out. We don't have time for that.
Because you can't get results if you just sit there. You have to take action. You have to execute in order to get results. But before you move and before you try to get your results, I say you got to be smart. Don't move out of anger. Because mad people make mistakes when they try to make moves or think out of anger and shit. They say shit they regret. They make moves they regret. But when you make your moves, at least be calculated, be smart. Know what I mean? Don't just do shit out of anger and shit. Be smart about what you're doing. So your results could be fucking smart. Know what I mean? You can get something back positive.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, young kids who come into the business conducting themselves that way, all of those characteristics that make them that way are the same things that made them famous. Mm-hmm. So they just reacting authentically as a product from where they come from. And those are the things that are being monetized by these people.
Yeah.
Like them coming in and being so nice to everybody is not what they're monetizing. Like the more
not what's selling.
I mean, it's like that. It's not about going into a space where you have no idea how to operate in that space and thinking that anything good is going to come from it. If you can make it through that, then it was ordained for you to be there. The problem with that is you competing against people who are given those positions.
Okay.
You up against nepotism and all types of shit that, is going on the backs of our culture. And that's what the problem is. It should be just as many black people in those seats, not complicit black people, but black people in those seats, that as it represents how much of the market share that we make up. That's what it should be. If it's not that, then it's discrimination.
Do you feel like, because I'm talking about shit, Royce, I'm 42 years old, man. So I grew up on Red Alert, fucking Dre and Ed Lover, fucking DJ SNS, Ron G, Kid Capri. You know what I mean? And it's like all these people that brung me up on hip hop and the culture and shit that I was a kid listening to them on the radio and shit. And it's like, none of these people are really in a prominent position of power that they should be in. And it's like, is there something that they did in the early days that withdrawing or holding them back? Or is it just that they didn't want that position or they couldn't handle it? Like, what's your thoughts on that, Royce?
When you say prominent position of power, man, it's all that's subjective.
Okay.
It's all about perspective. Like Red Alert is one of the last DJs that was actually able to break records.
Facts. That's facts. Love Red Alert.
He told you what was cool and you believed it because it's Red Alert.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have more power than that. He just wasn't put in a position to where he can probably quantify that for what his worth is, because he probably didn't view it as something that you needed to place value on like that. He was just being Red Alert. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, and shit just evolved. And as we evolved, the DJs started getting richer and richer and richer and richer and richer. And I think the DJs that came after him that were able to get rich like that, just like, we were able to acquire a whole lot of money as artists. And we can't look back at all of the people who opened doors for us and say the same. I view that
But my thing is, Royce, is
Like,
how come we don't run Hot 97? How come we don't own that building? How come somebody from that we grew up on, all them figures that we grew up on in hip hop, how come they're not running the radio stations?
why you feel like they need to run a radio station?
Because they brought the culture to us. They determined what we listened to them. They let us know what was hot.
Yeah, but now,
why are they not in position to where they're hiring the next generation to where they can groom them and the culture can be passed it on the right way? They could pass the torch down the right way. Like, it just seemed awkward.
well, I think when we decided radio wasn't cool no more, that's where the power was at. I don't see too much value in us owning radio stations just to say that we own the culture. We run the culture. We run the culture. You know what I mean? Like, when was the last time you went to the radio to listen to what was hot?
I don't.
Do you?
But there was a but what happened to the drama hour when we had that? What happened to when from soon as it was a weekend in New York City, you already knew what time it is. K Slade was on the radio, Funk Flex was on the radio. You had your tape decks ready, you was pressing record so you could fucking record all a mixes, and then the next day, Saturday morning, be out there doing what you do, and then got that boombox playing whatever the mix was last night. Like, that shit don't exist no more. Niggas don't have that hunger to do.
No, it's just due to the evolution of technology, bro. That's all. Everything is just on demand now. That's like asking why we don't watch a series every week while Netflix is out there. We can watch it whenever we want to. We don't have to run home and be on time in front of the TV at a certain time to be able to catch something. We can watch it on our phones as soon as it's available. And it's the same with music. It's readily available to you. So we don't need to listen to the radio. So, you know, like, people go to the radio and people are the most engaged in what's going on at radio when they're interviewing somebody interesting.
Yeah.
Something like that. Other than that, I don't feel like anybody listens to the radio. Nobody.
Not no more. Definitely.
And there's not a whole lot of cool shit on the radio.
Because they playing the same shit at 8 in the morning that they're going to be playing at 8 at night on the radio nowadays, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people always, you know, reference radio and what's playing in the clubs and all of that. That's no measuring stick. That's no measuring stick for really anything. I know people who never stepped foot into a club before. I know people who only listen to music when they work out. I know people who only listen to music when they want to fucking be sad. Some people only listen to music when they driving in their cars. You know,
Hey, Royce, nowadays, everybody just creating their own playlist. Fuck the radio.
Yeah, I mean, but it's always been, in terms of music has always been that thing that can serve as many things. It's not just to turn up in the club. Some people listen to shit to turn down. My mom used to argue with my dad. My dad would leave, she'd close the door and blast Janet Jackson's whole album for hours. You know what I mean? Like, that was one of my first introductions to listening to music in order to feel something.
Yeah.
So even to this day, it's very hard for me to listen to music that's just, I guess they call it microwave. That's not about anything, or it doesn't serve any purpose but to just pass the time.
Oh, a moment. It's
pass
not even
time for now.
A moment. It's a moment. That's all it is.
Yeah, but that shit has its place too.
Yeah.
The masters are the motherfuckers who find out what their place is, develop a consistency with the audience, and stick to that. Like McDonald's. Do you think people eat McDonald's because of how well they make food? Or because of how delicious it is? Fuck no. You're paying for convenience. You're paying for consistency. 9 times out of 10, you're on your way somewhere, you're late. You don't got to get out your car. You can just get in the drive-thru. You're probably going to get a whole meal for less than $5 and probably get some change back. You know what you're getting prior to it. You know you're going to get the same greasy shit that's probably going to fuck your stomach up, but you're okay with it. because that's what you're paying for.
Royce, they try to dress it up. They call it. They give you the Travis Scott special now, or the Saweetie burgers and shit. It's the same old shit.
That's fantastic. That just speaks to the value of hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
If corporations were so powerful over us, then why do they keep trying to find different ways to use hip hop to market?
Yeah.
Hey Royce, what did you learn from Total Slaughter, and just seeing where Drake has just seeing how Drake has taken to battle rap as far as like sponsoring battle rap cards? Like, what do you think of that?
I think it's great that he's doing that. I think it's great that he's doing that. I fuck with that. I love the way he's doing it. As far as the Total Slaughter thing, I learned that you can mean well, but you can be. It's a such thing as being a little bit ahead of your time with ideas. You know what I mean? Timing is everything. If people aren't ready to wrap their brains around something, then you're not gonna get the reaction that you're looking for. Even though I consider it a success, it was just like if we build a house, we came through and we just laid a brick. It was an important brick. And people continued to build on it, whether they wanted to give us the grace or not. But it wasn't for us to receive the grace. It was just for us to do our part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, I mean, you got Slaughterhouse and you got Eminem. You got us coming together. We're all like-minded in terms of the way we view the culture. We all fans of battle rap. And we all feel like that it could be on a bigger platform. And now we're all contributors to a bigger platform.
Mm-hmm.
So for us not to try to create some sort of pathway from what people look at as battle rap culture to the major label platform, I think that'd be kind of fucked up for us, at least not to try. Because that divide between battle rap and regular culture is just an imaginary, it's like an imaginary line. It's not really a thing. We all one thing. You know what I mean? We all one thing.
Yeah, because that was like, for a lot of people, that was the first time they saw Marv 1. And Marv, he been, battling for years. So just seeing what Marv 1 is now compared to, back then.
It was a lot of people first time seeing all of them.
Yeah. And now look at Math.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you talk about these big shiny stages and platforms. It's just casual fanfare. That's all that is.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I trip over people who have a problem with Jake Paul and argue what is he bringing to boxing. He's just bringing casual fanfare. That's all.
That's it.
You don't have to call him like the greatest anything. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't have to do that. He can just keep it on YouTube.
I don't
think
think
I mean? Like he don't have to stage compelling spectacles. You know what I mean? Like, I think we'd be in a better place if boxing embraced him and combined real cards with what he's doing and placed real fighters somewhere on the card, not opening up, of course, but somewhere on the card, especially the fights that they can't seem to afford to pay for right now. It seemed like the perfect storm to me.
I mean, I think a lot of people view him.
Everybody's so stuck being a purist. And this is bad for the culture. That's bad for the culture. This is bad for the culture. Well, you know what's bad for the culture? Not a lot of viewership. And not being able to make the fights that people want to see.
Okay.
That's bad.
Because a lot of people view him as I guess what they say, they would view him as a clout chaser, like he doing everything for clout. But what he's doing, let's say even if he has a following, he has an audience to wherever he goes, they're going to follow. So it's like he's going to bring more added attention to whatever he's into. So it's like it's a win-win situation.
Well, anybody who's dealing in public trade of anything economically, anybody in entertainment, anybody that's doing things that require the people to follow it and engage it and pay money for it is a clout chaser on some level. Some people just do it with dignity, and some people don't. Some people care about the dignified part of it. Some people couldn't care less.
Facts.
People tend to like look down on the people that's a little bit more intentional with having an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I mean, so what? Who cares if he got an agenda? You don't intentionally support the people with integrity. You go toward what you're entertained by. Shit, that makes you a clout chaser too. Not like people are just supporting things to keep people around. Right?
I think that's what Cassidy has done.
We all clout chasers, Royce, in some way.
I mean, yeah, I think so. I mean, you know,
hey, fuck it. In some way,
we
all got a little bit of clout chaser in us.
I mean, everybody wants to be associated with the cool.
Facts.
You know, like everybody wants to be at the Rock Nation brunch, not because they're hungry, because they want to be where the rest of the cool people are at. That's clout, right?
Yeah, it is.
If you got a bunch of famous ass grown men waiting in line to take a picture with Beyonce, and she can't stand in there longer than 30 minutes, and they got to get her out of there, shit, that's no different from being around fans. Fuck is the difference?
Facts.
I think that's what Cassidy has brought to battle rap, because like purists didn't like that Cassidy was. I think purists looked at Cassidy as kind of being an interloper. He didn't. He wasn't, battling when battle rap was just starting to grow from grind time to URL, and you see Cassidy, he battled Goods, right fresh, he battled Goods, Arsenal, Hitman. In the face-off between Hitman Holla and Cassidy, it was so entertaining that it's at 3 million views. So just seeing what Cassidy has taken battle rap just with his presence has been a good thing. Even if he doesn't win, but he's still making it bigger than what it was.
What they calling him, an interloper?
Well, that's my word. I'm just saying that.
Interloper, what the fuck?
I just mean somebody that They have
a problem. They have a problem with him not rapping.
No, I'm talking about somebody from the industry coming into battle rap. That's why I said, because he wasn't on the grind, like he wasn't, battling like Arsenal or Holla the Don did from, grind time or doing it from the grassroots. So just seeing, I think that's what talking, from 2007 to 2010, like when it went from grind time to URL, like Cassidy was still in the industry. And I think that's how some fans look at Cassidy, like you wasn't battling when A-Verb or Hitman Holla was getting it from the mud. So just to see Cassidy, come in and just, and make his presence felt, I think it's been good, even if he doesn't win.
I mean, yeah, they don't expect everybody else to win.
I mean, Cassidy is the reason why most of these niggas battle rap, whether they want to admit it or not.
I mean, I'm still trying to figure out why is he being held to that standard. I mean, there was URL, and then grind time didn't start at the same time as URL.
True.
Why that's okay? What about King of the Dot? They started after. They was inspired by URL. Why they get to come later?
And then you got RBE. Well, grind time morphed into URL.
I mean, to me, my first shit is Fight Club.
Yeah.
I grew up on Fight Club, and then when Party Artie, may he rest in peace, that's my guy now, I mean. when him and Mook battled on 2/5 in front of the Adam Clayton Powell State the state building, I was there for that one. I was there in person for that one. But I came up for Fight Club, and then after that, it was Smack DVD. I knew about Too Raw for the Streets because I used to be in and out of Allentown Pennsylvania and shit. But it was, to me, it was Smack DVD. It was Fight Club, then Smack. That was my shit coming up. But and then, you know, RBE, King of the Dot, and everything else fell in line with. But to me, it was just, I knew about the DVD era and shit.
Right. I mean, yeah, that was an interesting take. Like Cassidy, while he was in a record deal with Swiss, they expected him to battle.
Yeah, Mook was calling him out at that time.
Well, that's understandable. I'm talking about what he said the fans are talking about.
Oh, the fans?
Yeah.
The fans, I don't know what the fans want. The fans, some of these fans be fucking jaded. I don't know what's going on with half of them.
Well, it's fun. It's fun as a fan to talk about shit.
Yeah. They got their own perspective and view. I respect it. But sometimes they just be saying some outlandish shit. You got to admit that.
Yeah, I don't care. let them say outlandish shit. That's one of the fun parts of being a fan. I wish I could still listen to shit and watch things objectively without my artistry having anything to do with anything. I hate that I can't listen to music and enjoy it the same way as the average fan.
Why do you feel that way, Royce? If you don't mind me asking, do you feel like?
I mean, you know, I'm just kind of, after all these years, I'm just kind of programmed to critique a little bit more.
Okay.
Like I can hear. I mean, the upside to it is I can hear great things being done that a lot of people may not be able to put a finger on. Mm-hmm. I'm able to articulate what I'm listening to and what's great about it, but I'm also able to hear what I would have did different, or you know what I mean? Like some old artist shit. I can't just sit back and enjoy it without, you know, critiquing it. That shit has become a part of my process of just listening to things.
So it's like you hear it, but it's like you somewhat insert yourself in the situation and be like, yo, this is what I would have did on it, or this is what I would have said.
Depending on who it is.
Okay.
Depending on who it is, you know, I can't enjoy music the way I can enjoy it when I was a teenager. Nigga, I wanted to be LL Cool J. I ain't just loved the nigga music, I loved him. You know what I mean? Like he inspired me in that way. I don't have that innocence no more, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'll listen to anybody, you know what I mean? And on any given day, I may just be like, I'll fucking cook that nigga's food. You know what I'm saying? And then some days I listen to shit and be like, that motherfucker's nice. You know what I mean? But it's still from the perspective as an artist.
Yeah. Somebody in the comments just asked if you would battle Bizarre. I'm tripping.
What would I do that for?
Like, that don't even make sense. Royce battling Bizarre.
Me and Bizarre on the same team. You got to pick somebody else from somewhere else.
They gotta do something
I can't battle another Detroiter.
That's crazy.
I can't do that.
If you had your pick, who would you battle?
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't? You good on?
No, I ain't really. I don't have an interest in I especially don't have an interest in battling anybody in particular. Like I'm not like, there's not somebody in my mind that I'm thinking about. Yeah, I want to, you know, square off with that person or this person. Even when I had a short moment where I was thinking about getting in there, it was just as some bucket list shit. It wasn't to go against anybody in particular.
Yeah, it
could have been anybody. Yeah, it could have been anybody if it would have made sense, because I feel like the outcome would have been the same, no matter who it is. You know what I'm saying? But the goal, more so than winning, would have been to bring viewership in that space a way that has never been done before. You know?
Yeah.
like to be able to stage the dopest event that we've seen, because both sides are participating and playing ball with the same intensity. You know, both sides are putting in the same amount of input, effort, and emphasis into placing our culture in front of people's eyes as one thing, not this versus that.
Facts. Because I know, Royce, you even know this. If it was ever announced that you were going to battle on any league, that shit would go through the roof. That would be the most publicized, talked about thing until it happens. Like, niggas would talk about it 24/7. Yo, Royce about to battle, Royce about to battle. It don't matter what league is on, how it's done. But if it was announced that you were going to battle, that would be the most talked about thing until the battle actually takes place. And if it was pay-per-view, that shit would sell out within 24 hours, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and the key is to not stop there. The key is to be able to keep taking steps, keep scaling it. You know, so if everybody in the culture is talking about it leading up to, then now the ball is in my court to do a performance that makes everybody who wasn't a part of it wish they was a part of it, and then go back and watch it. And then that turns into somebody else, because it ain't just me. There's plenty of people. That'll make somebody else in the culture feel like it's cool for them to jump in there.
Yeah.
And then we stage another big, beautiful event. And we do it again and again and again.
Definitely.
Until we do it.
Step through the door first.
We do it until it's a thing. It's a normal thing. Because everything else in that space is scaling. The stage is bigger, it's shinier, it's on demand, it's through an app. That's corporate funding. Everything has scaled but the battle rappers. So if you scale the stage to a huge stage that Drake is standing on, and you putting all the usual suspects on a bigger stage, it's kind of wishful thinking to expect a different result. Something else needs to scale along with the aesthetics of battle rap.
All right.
Was there ever,
unless all of this energy is gonna go toward making one of these battle rappers a big star, which I don't see happening, then
did you
it's not gonna scale from a number standpoint.
Yeah.
Did you ever plan on doing a follow-up to Silence of Lambda?
No, I'm not gonna do that.
No, I'm talking about initially, right after Lupe, put out Steve Jobs, the response to Silence of Lambda was there any thought into responding to that?
I didn't even consider it because when he put that out and what he said some personal shit, right? And I would have been able to get past that. You know what I'm saying? But he canceled the podcast and unfollowed me. So that told me that it's personal. Yeah. I didn't want personal. Lupe was my friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, contrary to popular belief. And people look at this shit and they look at it as normal. Are you going to rap or what? No, I'm not going to rap. Because the last time I did that way, I was in my 20s. In a situation where I was in a real beef. And there's nothing about that situation where I could look back and be proud of what I saw or feel like that I was making a good decision.
Yeah.
So why would I want to do that again and over what? A misunderstanding? Because if this shit was just about achieving rap supremacy or proving to whoever that I could rap better, then it wouldn't have been a problem. That's never what the shit was about to me, because that's too subjective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So basically, it's like once you saw that it became personal on Lupe's behalf, he was like, "Yo, let me fall back from this. I don't even want no parts of it because it's not going to be fun as if I thought it was. Because you unfollowing me, we deaded the podcast, and it's like
it's another fallout, bro.
Yeah,
it's another fallout. So from that point, it totally goes against everything that we've been building in terms of narrative with competitive rap. It's a huge pivot. You know what I mean? So now we're going in the opposite direction. And anything I would have said after that on a record would have just exacerbated it more. And all of those people who were chiming in, making comments, none of those people have the power to stop anything, break up anything, fix anything. Nobody going to no funeral, nobody going to see nobody in the hospital. We just become collateral damage. You know what I mean? And that shit got to stop. You know what I mean? So one of the things that was fun to me is the fact that we could all sit and have competitive conversation about MCing and still be cool with each other. Because it's a cool way that we could have did it, but they just decided to pivot. You know what I mean? Because it go back to what I was saying earlier. The agendas started to switch.
Yeah.
My agenda, what they were looking to achieve and what I was looking to achieve was two different things. And Mickey wanted something different from what Lupe wanted. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like, I wasn't looking to achieve rap supremacy, bro. You know what I mean? Like, there's no upside to me out rapping Mickey Fax or Lupe Fiasco, bro. There's no upside to me showing you that I can rap better. That doesn't help me in any way. It doesn't build me. It's just another record out there, 10,000 videos on YouTube where the caption says Royce and Lupe beef. And that shit does not help us, bro. Because it's like, yo, if it was just about going and proving who can rap the best, if people bought music based off of who can rap the best, then the whole fucking aesthetic of the culture would look different.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like if that's what it's about, if that's what it was about, then it would have been no problem. No problem. And I say this respectfully, tearing both of them niggas the fuck up. Easy work. Easy work. It wasn't, they didn't say nothing that was so, you know what I mean? Like it was just an alley-oop for me to create more mess. And we tried Messy so many times. Messy has never fucking worked, man. Never. It's never worked. And on top of that, I've got mad love for Lupe. I don't enjoy falling out with people who I'm cool with.
Yeah.
The fuck would I want to do that for? Just to show people. People that I can rap.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what kills me is like the new fans or the people that just want to be in the midst of the shit or stir the pot up. It's like, y'all know Royce could rap already. He has nothing to prove. If he really wants to go into that bag, if he wanted to, he could. But if he don't want to do it, then fuck it. So be it. It just is what it is.
Yeah, or not. Or sit and complain. I don't fucking care. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is, I'm not trying to convince you to feel differently. The key is I'm competing against myself. We all are competing with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
All of us black men are in a competition with ourselves to get better across the board. To get better. Like, I'm not an employee of the people. I don't work for the fucking fans. Like, the fans don't tell me when to rap. You know what I mean? I learned over the years by doing a whole bunch of shit, bad shit, and making a whole bunch of mistakes that I don't perform well doing things that don't suit me. I do things that feel right. I have fun doing them. I try to do my part. I know that I'm not going to do everything perfectly. I definitely didn't do everything perfect in the Lupe Mickey situation. I'm holding myself accountable in my mind for the role I played in it, and I move on. If it doesn't suit me, I walk away from it. I don't care what people think about it. I don't give a fuck, because if it was my job to do that, then I'll be hit with the harsh reality that people don't give a fuck about my peace of mind. If you're willing to put being entertained over my peace of mind, then I automatically got to look at this shit for what it is.
Yeah.
I didn't get brought in here. I didn't get put in a position where I'm at because somebody told me I can rap, or that's somebody's opinion. That's not what got me where I'm at. I can't be validated by anybody, man. Like, you entitled to have your opinion. I'm okay with you not liking things that I do, I'm okay with you disagreeing with me. I'm okay with you not listening to my music, but I'm not okay with you being the cause of my stress. I'm not okay with letting you have that kind of power over my thoughts.
That's too much power. To let somebody have a control of your peace of mind and your thought process, that's way too much fucking power for somebody to make you feel some type of way. That's too much power.
What's the after all these years? What's the use of doing some shit that ain't fun? What's the purpose?
I don't like doing nothing that ain't fun.
It's bad enough we go all of these years and we forget to smile in this shit. Motherfucker, I have a 5-year career where you just mean mug the camera for 5 years straight. You so worried about how people feel about you and impressing people who don't give a fuck about you and measuring up to these status quos that's been created by Lord knows who. And then you look up and you ain't got nothing to show for it. Yeah. You're just sitting there upset at some shit. Now you're bitter and complaining, and then the kids here, you're doing all that complaining about how people have wronged you. And then they come into the business afraid to get wronged by people. While other people are creating nepotism all over the place, playing musical chairs with the highest seats in the culture that for the most part thrives off our backs. And it's largely due to the fact that we spend a whole bunch of time bickering with each other about shit that don't matter, man. I don't got time for stupid shit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't.
Control what you can control.
I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to let the chips fall where they may. And the truth is just the truth. I didn't get where I'm at, changing narrative around. Throughout that whole process, I'd never claimed to be anything but what I am. It's not about me proving that I'm Royce the 5'9". You already know who I am. I'm not telling you that I'm Jay-Z. You know, Mickey was like, yo, man, I gave you your flowers, man. I don't see why you're not giving me my flowers. I am giving you your flowers. I'm telling you how I feel about you as a lyricist because you wanted to have a specific conversation about lyricism. If this was about just exchanging pleasantries, I could do that with you all day because I think you can rap. I just don't look at you how you want me to say that I look at you right now. I don't mean no disrespect.
Yeah.
Just be honest.
Because I think when it went left, it's like for some reason Mickey thought you was talking about him in reference to a bar or two, and then you was like, well, fuck it. If you think I'm talking about you, then I'm talking about you.
Well, he knew I wasn't talking about him. And that's part of the problem. That's part of the whole narrative shifting thing.
Okay.
He said, Lupe don't got a son. And I got a son. So I just figured maybe is that bar about me? And I'm looking at him and I know for a fact that he knows that how the fuck am I supposed to know you got a son, nigga? I don't know you. Like, why are you pretending like we just know each other like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So it's just like, bro, you know I'm not referring to you. But if you want to use that as an excuse to put your hat in the ring, then go ahead, my nigga. I just don't understand. If you want to get involved in the smoke, you would have came out better just saying that. Why do you gotta create a scenario where you're defending yourself against me? And you know that's not the case. Why you gotta do that? Why you gotta pretend like all of us top tier lyricists decided to start having conversation? That's not true, bro. I never think about you ever.
Yeah.
There's not one time, and I really don't mean disrespect when I say this. I'm just being honest. There never was a time where I said to myself, "Oh, let's top tier lyricists need to start having conversations." I don't even speak that way, bro. You know how corny that is?
Yeah, it just seems weird.
Look at us like that. I got MCs who I hold to a high regard. Yes, Black Thought. I've never had a conversation about shit like that with Black Thought.
Yeah.
Ever. If I seen Nas, I told him he was the GOAT. I wasn't telling him that, looking for him to be reciprocal with the flowers. How you view me is how you view me. How I view you is how I view you. It doesn't mean you looking down on me. It just means, number one, if you want me to feel that way about you, there's a criteria that I look for, and you don't check those boxes. It doesn't mean you're not a good rapper. It don't mean that. It just means you're not going to be able to convince me by talking. And you're certainly not going to be able to convince me by rapping like me about me. That's not going to convince me. I'm not impressed by that.
It's more to it, too.
I mean, bro, like this shit is not fucking one of them B2K movies, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is not
you
what
got
that
served.
is, man. You know what I mean? Like, bro, I bled my blood on the street over this rap.
I remember. Yeah.
If you haven't done that, then you can't just say that we are equal to each other just for the sake of me happen to watch what I say because people don't like when I speak a certain way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not here to look down on you. If I told you you was top tier, that wouldn't make you top tier. I can't validate you, bro. All you did was burn a relationship. That's all you did. He didn't get nothing out of that. And if it was my validation he was looking for with that record, he didn't get it. I think even less of him now. So what was achieved?
It was a lose-lose.
I didn't lose shit.
No, you didn't. I'm saying he burnt the bridge, and then you felt like what he put out still didn't check the boxes to where you could see him as an equal.
It's not up to me to determine if you check the boxes. All you got to do is just look at it.
Okay.
If it checks the boxes, then it exists. Would you say, do you think about it like you think about ether?
No.
Hell no.
Nah, it's not.
What took you so long to answer?
It's not ether.
Of course it's not ether. Not in terms of how lyrical each one is next to each other. Just the impact of it. The way it aged. You know, the meaning behind it. The purpose of it. It was two people that clashed at the top. You know, they went at it because they were enemies. This guy's running around trying to convince people that we were friends, and I'm overreacting. What the fuck did I do to deserve that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like I don't even know you, bro. Like you ain't fucking play with Wu-Tang. When you was in that fucking trailer, you didn't play with them. What you playing with me for? If you're gonna play with somebody, why me? You didn't play with me when I put out the bar exam. I said niggas' names on the bar exam. Where was all the play in that then? Because that's when I was out to achieve rap supremacy. Now niggas want to go to war with me lyrically and double team me and shit. Come on, bro. Y'all niggas out y'all fucking minds if y'all think y'all about to do that shit at my expense. That shit is corny, man. The world didn't enjoy that. The world looked at that shit like we was a bunch of old ass bickering men, man. There's nothing cool about it. It's nothing cool about it, man.
Stupid.
It's not. It's not, bro.
I feel you though. I understand what you're saying though. I fully understand you, fam. It's like you ain't even asked for that. You ain't have no time for that. It's just like a moment.
I had time for it. I had time for it if it wasn't negative. I would have had time for it.
No, I mean from a negative aspect. You didn't have time.
Yeah, I don't got man, listen, I don't got time for no negativity.
Yeah.
But I fueled it a little bit because I was reacting to things. I was reacting to things and I said more than I needed to say. But I just did that out of respect. I felt like articulating how I felt. I tried to communicate so we can get to a better place so maybe we can all rap and have fun with it.
Yeah.
But you can't do that if nobody willing to stand on nothing they said or did. If it's I'm sorry today, then it's back to shit talking tomorrow. And I can't have a conversation with a motherfucker like that. I respect Lupe though, because Lupe, even though I don't like the way he handled it, he stood on it. And he made me accept it. And that's all that's required of us as men. You know what I mean? Like, make me accept that. I ain't your friend no more, nigga. I don't like what you did. I respect that. I can't stay mad at that. And I still love Lupe. I do. You know what I mean? But Mickey, I don't know Mickey.
You said the line about somebody with a son, and he thought you was talking about him, and you
He didn't
don't
think I was
know
talking
he
about
got
him.
a son.
He knew I was talking. He knew I wasn't talking about him.
That's crazy.
And then he said we was trying to play him on the. I was trying to play him on the live stream. Trying to play you what, bro? What do I gain from that? Yeah, I was being a little facetious. That's not the first time I spoke to him like that.
Yeah,
I felt like he was.
I spoke to him like that on live stream before. You got to pre-warn me, man. If I need to watch how I speak to you because now we have an audience, you got to let me know that that's the thing because you don't have to do that with me.
I felt like he was looking at the comments, you know, while you was talking, and then later on he got offended.
Well,
because I didn't see anything that was, you know, that you said that, you know, that he needed to take offense to.
yeah, it's cool. I mean, I wasn't trying to convince him to not be offended, and that's the difference between me and him. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. I'm willing to stand on what I'm saying. I'm not taking nothing back. I'm not saying shit that I don't mean. I'm not trying to put on in front of the people. I'm not here to do that.
For what?
Now, if you stand on it and just say, fuck you, nigga, I wanted to jump in there and I don't give a fuck how you feel about it, then shit. Now we can rock and roll. But that ain't what he want. He want his cake and eat it too. He want peace when he want peace, and he want smoke when it's to my detriment. I can't allow you to do that, brother.
Salute the Trick. I see Trick in the comments. They saying,
yeah, they playing a dangerous game. Dangerous game. But I gotta thank my OG. My OG, he talked me off many ledges. It's something just as simple as a call. All right, that's enough.
Yeah.
You gave that enough of your energy. Let's move on. You know what I mean?
That's enough.
That's what we need. That's what we need our OGs to do, and that's what I'm talking about sharing information and just looking out for each other. Because sometimes when you end some shit and the way you reacting or responding to shit that you're saying, you may not realize how it looked because you're not able to step outside yourself and look at it. You know.
Yeah.
So my wife hit me. A couple people hit me. My mom hit me. Why are you on this? Why are you on the internet yelling?
Royce, you like, oh shit, y'all got my mom's calling me now, fam.
It ain't worth all that, man. It ain't worth all that.
I feel you.
Niggas are motherfucking, man, niggas are cheated death 80 times in life just by existing. Just to finally get here and be ready to crash over some raps.
Hell yeah. But I mean, it's always good to have OGs to come through because they on the outside looking in and they like, yo, you kind of out of pocket right now. It's just that sometimes these young niggas be too hot-headed and they ain't trying to hear enough and they always think somebody trying to play them instead of somebody trying to school them.
They got somebody that they listen to because I don't listen to everybody. I'm guilty of that. I don't listen to everybody, but I do listen to people that I respect because 9 times out of 10 or 10 times out of 10, I respect them because they know how to speak to me. Because there's nothing that I could do that Trick has not seen before or done himself or has a story that he can reflect on about how he did the same thing and he regretted it or something to that nature. You know?
Facts.
So it's like, then he'll know how to get through to me where I'll understand it. Whereas, you know, like my manager at the time, he may have called me complaining. He may have just pissed me off and made me madder. You know what I mean? Like it just depends. It depends.
Yeah, man. That shit. Times is changing, man. They say everything do a 360. Is it going to turn right around to where we get the real boom bap era back to where lyrics mean something, and then everybody had OGs to step in and kind of guide them into the right direction? Are we going to get that era back?
You feel like lyrics don't mean nothing?
To me, they mean everything. To me personally, they mean everything.
You think to the general